or Kristin out in Colorado. Okay, we have a space here. Yes, we do. Doing a witness testimony. We got For the Love of Gov, or maybe we'll call her Kristin out in Colorado. We have a few other people who might be hopping in. And there was also, I don't know if you guys just saw, Trump had some statements about the drones. Welcome, Kristin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me join.
Good. Pretty crazy. Have you seen the new Trump
I did.
statement? I feel like I should play that
I
for
did
everyone.
see that.
See. Here we go for everybody. So we're all on the same page.
I'm going to give you a report on drones about one day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones. And it's not only with me. Glenn was telling me today that in Virginia, they have drones all over the place too, and nobody's reporting it. I don't know why they're not. Do you want to say something about that?
Just one quick comment, which is we are home to the largest naval base in the world in Quantico, and we house a lot of the SEAL teams and have a huge national security infrastructure. And now for 2 years running, we have had drone incursion over secure airspace, and we still don't know why. And I think that's absolutely unacceptable. I think President Trump and the new leadership coming in, I think will work diligently to understand who's behind this and what we do in order to stop the digital surveillance of all of our secure infrastructure.
Well, I can tell you this. While we were dealing with a terrorist attack in New Orleans, we had drones being flown over our nuclear reactors in Louisiana. And we brought that attention to the FAA. We've been asking the FAA to give these states the ability to mitigate these drones. And it's sitting on some bureaucrat's desk. And that's real. Nobody knows. They don't want to talk about it. Go ahead, Governor. You're going to say?
I was just going to say we have drones in Wyoming flying over our infrastructure as well. And it's incredibly frustrating that we not only have no way of knowing what it is, but nobody knows how to deal with them.
They don't want to talk about it.
So this seems to be like a governor's lunch or dinner thing at Mar-a-Lago, and like we've had 3 different governors. I think that was Virginia governor, Louisiana governor said there was drones as a terrorist attack was happening, and then this is, I don't know which governor this is. This is another governor though.
And nobody knows why. They don't want to talk about it. That could be us sending drones. I hope that's the case, us doing it and doing research, and maybe they don't want to talk about it from that standpoint. I hope it's not an enemy, but we're going to find out on the 21st, the day after. You have to give me a little time for the inauguration, but shortly thereafter, we'll give you a report on it. We'll tell you exactly what it is. They know, and it's very strange that they aren't talking about it. I'm going to give.
So yes, so that just happened. So it just kind of goes to show this mixed messaging we're seeing from the government, especially like local and federal, but even current administration and upcoming. Biden is all in on the downplaying hysteria. President Trump, who gets the same daily briefings as Biden, saying like the government knows and he's going to be transparent with people. Yeah, Kristin, any thoughts on that? And then we'll kind of just walk through your little timeline events of when it started getting active for you out there in Colorado.
Sure. Well, I'll just say, I how do I say this? As far as Trump's perspective on all of this goes, I kind of am just wait and see. I think it's interesting to have Wyoming representation. They're saying that they're seeing it in Wyoming. Also, I was just traveling through there during the holidays. I'm in Colorado. I'm originally from Montana, so we drove through Wyoming. I didn't see it myself, but that's not to say that it wasn't going on. We went through, where was it? Cheyenne, Casper, Sheridan, up on into Billings. I didn't see it, but I was also very thankful to get out of Colorado for a period of time, just because it's been so prevalent there. The last, I saw it for the first time December 11th. I live just south of Denver, and I travel Highway 285 quite a bit, which goes out into the mountains. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that territory, but like through Conifer, it's out west, just west of Denver, southwest of Denver in the foothills. And traveling that highway, I just started to see a lot of stuff in the sky that I don't know, just first I was like, well, are they planes? I really kind of had that, thought about it. And then I just started them doing odd things. I saw them flying in groups together, that's where I started to I was like, these are not airplanes. And they were flying really low to the ground. They were circling some of our city blocks. They were sometimes would have really bright shining lights, and other times, and I would notice that when they were moving slower. And then as they would start to pick up speed, they would shine, or like the red, green light flashing tendencies would happen. So I kind of associated their lights with different speeds. And I've seen a lot of the same things so far. So I've, in terms of timeline, like I said, December 11th was the first time I saw it, and it started to pick up in like quantity on up until Christmas Eve, and then became really interesting. That night, I went to a service with a friend, and we were in, which was in Lakewood, Colorado, which is also a little bit further north of where I am, but still southwest of Denver. And we were sitting at the intersection of what's Kipling and Alameda. They're two fairly big thoroughfares there in that area. And we're looking off across the street, and we noticed one of them lifting off the ground. And of course, I'm like, my first thought is that a helicopter? Is there a hospital back there? Which there is, but it was way down the way. We weren't really actually familiar with what was behind there, but we look up on a map and find out that I wasn't aware of this, but there was a big federal center there where there's an FDA building, there is a post office, and ironically a FEMA center. And we saw that thing lift off right out of this big open space in front of the post office. The FEMA center was directly behind that. So
Oh, interesting. So like off the ground, you think? So maybe it's coming from there?
well, it definitely, that night it came off the ground. And I don't have a video of it coming off the ground. I was digging for my phone as fast as I can, but you can see it's flying very low. It's probably about the height of stoplights at that point. But I do have that video. It's posted on my timeline back. It should be on December 24th, if not the 25th. I've been trying to post them as frequently as I can.
Yeah, and I'm putting up all your videos I can find right now in the nest, so if people want to follow
cool.
along. Cool.
So
So then you
that
said you
was-
started like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, that was kind of weird to see that. And so my son and I went back to the FEMA center. Well, so let me back up a little bit. They were fairly light, I want to say Christmas Eve, which I thought was also just an interesting point of something to consider. And then we saw
Yes.
none Christmas night, none. There were none in the skies. And I thought that was also interesting. Because everybody wants to be, you post these videos online and everybody's like, they're planes. And I'm like, they are not planes. I know they're not planes. I understand why people want to say that, but something is off. And
What are the main things that make you say they're not planes for people who are like, that's all a plane? Yeah.
Sure. Just because I oftentimes see them flying in like really close to one another. They fly very low altitude and they don't make a lot of noise. Like I feel like as low as they fly, if they were actual planes, like they would make you would feel it, not just hear it. You would feel it, feel that vibration. And it's not that they don't make any noise. It's just not an airplane noise. I can't really. That's as best as I can describe it. And there's just a lot of them. And they're coming from all directions. Like I said, I've seen them circling city blocks just a couple blocks down from my house, where they just go.
So, and when you say circling, it's like they're kind of flying the same route on a loop kind of deal?
Correct. Like a lot of times people will say, oh, when people are just kind of be contrarian about it, it's like that's a typical flight path in Inglewood or Denver or Lakewood or blah, blah, on and on and on. Anybody that doesn't want to believe that something else is going on here, I get that kind of feedback a lot. And I'm just saying that I've just seen too many things now that are not indicative of what an airplane would do. I saw, circling very like
they're flying in groups, kind of doing this thing too, right? So one thing we're kind of hearing reported out of New Jersey and other places is like flying in groups, like in a gridlock scanning kind of formation, like either looking for something or maybe just taking like note of infrastructure.
Yeah, I would say that feels like a good way to describe it. Just flying too close to be planes. Like I guess if it were in the air, I would say I've even seen them come to it looks like they're touching. I can't see exactly what they're doing always in that instance, but I've literally seen them fly that close to one another. Like it's like they might be able to, if they were manned aircraft, you could high five each other in the sky, that kind of close. So I've seen that. I've seen them, 4 or 5.
That one you said with your friend, what did your friend think? Yeah.
Her initial reaction too was, oh, maybe it's a helicopter, but I'm just like, I had seen them a lot more previously to that, and I just said I don't think so, because I literally, we just saw it come out of the ground. And so it was her that got on the phone and was like, what is right over there? And she found that it was the Federal Center. Like, I didn't even know that was in Colorado. I feel just kind of ignorant saying that, but I guess it was an interesting find for all of us. And to see that the FEMA Center was back there. So I think for her, that was a little bit of a wake up. So she's been on alert with it lately too. And she did say that she saw some flying over the Denver water building in our neighborhood. So that's a little disconcerting also. So she's on it.
Yeah, a lot of water stuff. It seems like water
Mhm.
reservoirs and whatnot.
Yep. So yeah, so I didn't see any Christmas night. And then it seems like right after Christmas night, it has severely picked up in terms of what I see coming out of the skies. And also, I should know, I went up to a Christmas party in Conifer. Like I'd mentioned, I live really close to Highway 285, which goes up into the foothills southwest of Denver. And I saw a bunch up there, which would have been a couple nights before Christmas. So up in the mountains, I saw them too, which is strange.
And what were they doing up there? Kind of similar things?
I wouldn't say, I didn't see any circling, but just again, like the low altitude flying, I think I saw probably, I don't know, 10 on my drive up there. It's like a 35-minute drive to where I was headed. And I saw probably about 10 of them. And again, it's just, they were flying, some flying west, some flying east. But it was the low altitude that was interesting to see up there, similar to, down in a little bit more populated neighborhoods.
Yeah, nice. I'm gonna try and find this clip real quick of a local news report when it was first reported in Colorado. I think like December 18th, and then maybe we'll go into some of the spraying that you've witnessed. But let me just find this clip for the people here, if I can. It's taking longer. Okay, here we go. Yeah. This is December 18th.
Us with pictures and videos showing sightings here in Colorado.
That's right. Fox 31's Ashley Michaels is speaking with experts and getting us some answers tonight. Ashley.
Well, this is not the first time something like this has come up in Colorado. Back in December of 2019, we had a lot of similar drone sightings all across our state, and now they're starting to be seen again.
News of mysterious drones in the skies across the country is now captivating audiences in backyards across Colorado.
All of a sudden, there was like this bright light, and it wasn't just a bright light, it was the lights, the way they were on this, whatever it was. They were not conformed like the plane.
She didn't catch it on video at her home in Aurora, but in Elizabeth, someone else did.
It was flying very low, and it would kind of like stop, and then it would go, and it would go very fast, and then it would stop, and then it would go. So it was just really, I just thought it was really strange.
I think the public is right in their concern when they see unidentified flying objects over their house.
Chad Kendall is an aviation professor at MSU Denver. He says it can be very difficult to tell drones apart from airplanes.
Movement of the vehicle and stationary time of the vehicle may lead to be more of a drone than an airplane.
And even when a flying object does turn out to be a drone, he says it doesn't always mean it's mysterious.
There are legitimate reasons for drone operations at night, less commercial traffic, less general aviation traffic, that they may be using infrared, they may be using LiDAR to do surveying. They may not need daytime operations to conduct that commercial operation that they are doing.
Still, people who've seen them want more concrete answers.
Is it safe? Is it not? I think that's mainly everybody's concern.
The problem is there are no rules requiring drone pilots to tell anyone when and where they're flying, as long as it's not in restricted airspace.
We did reach out to the FAA to see if they've had an uptick in unauthorized drone sightings in restricted airspace. We did not get an answer from them on that, but they did tell us, don't be surprised to see more drones flying up in the skies, especially this time of year, because drones are a very popular Christmas gift.
And real quick, Tupa, have you seen the new Trump statements on this that came out like an hour ago?
I'm just catching up on that now. What's up, by the way,
this,
Kristin? Glad you're here. Yeah, open this can of worms for me.
let's just replay this and anyone in the room. This just happened with Trump and a bunch of governors at like some Mar-a-Lago governor thing. I think we're about to hear from the Virginia governor, the Louisiana governor who says there was drones during the terrorist attack there.
I'm going to give you a report on drones about one day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones. And it's not only with me. Glenn was telling me today that in Virginia they have drones all over the place too, and nobody's reporting it. I don't know why they're not. Do you want to say something about that?
Just one quick comment, which is we are home to the largest naval base in the world in Quantico, and we house a lot of the SEAL teams and have a huge national security infrastructure. And now for 2 years running, we have had drone incursion over secure airspace, and we still don't know why. And I think that's absolutely unacceptable. I think President Trump and the new leadership coming in, I think will work diligently to understand who's behind this and what we do in order to stop the digital surveillance of all of our secure infrastructure.
Well, I can tell you this. While we were dealing with a terrorist attack in New Orleans, we had drones being flown over our nuclear reactors in Louisiana. And we brought that attention to the FAA. We've been asking the FAA to give these states the ability to mitigate these drones, and it's sitting on some bureaucrat's desk. And that's real. Nobody knows. They don't want to talk about it. Go ahead, Governor. You're going to say?
I was just going to say we have drones in Wyoming flying over our infrastructure as well. And it's incredibly frustrating that we not only have no way of knowing what it is, but nobody knows how to deal with them.
They don't want to talk about it, and nobody knows why. They don't want to talk about it. That could be us sending drones. I hope that's the case, us doing it and doing research, and maybe they don't want to talk about it from that standpoint. I hope it's not an enemy, but we're going to find out on the 21st, the day after. You have to give me a little time for the inauguration, but shortly thereafter, we'll give you a report on.
All right, Tuba, what are your thoughts on that?
Hell yeah. We need answers, man. He sounds
Crazy
pissed off.
governor after governor, like, hey, we have it too. We have it too. Hysteria, right, McWest? Okay, so back to Kristin. Just
Sure.
catching everyone up there. Okay, so let's get into maybe some of the mist and some of the, if there's anything maybe friends, families, coworkers have told you that you find kind of interesting or compelling. But yeah, you've definitely been capturing some of this mist chemtrail looking stuff. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think I've seen that twice, exactly twice now. I saw it down, I don't know if anybody's familiar with just south of Denver, where Denver University is. We were leaving a basketball game one afternoon, evening, and came outside, and they were just rampant outside. But I saw one, like not all of them spray, but I saw this one in particular, and there were other ones around in the area, but I saw one in particular spraying something, and it was that was what was interesting is it appeared like it was moving upward, like in a vertical, like straight up, and the whatever it was spraying was being shot below it. So that was different. And then I saw the other one. I think that one was posted on my timeline just last night or the night before. That was right outside of my house. I see them heavily outside. I'm in the Inglewood area, which is south of Denver, about 20-25 minutes. And they're really prevalent down there. I'm also seeing a lot of helicopters that are flying extremely low to the ground. I haven't posted any of those videos just because I'm quite certain that they're helicopters, but it's just so strange to me that they're flying. They're even lower than the drones are. So that's just an interesting. I'll post them, or maybe I'll just send them to you through.
Yeah, because I think some of these things are mimicking stuff. But real quick, back to the spraying. Do you smell anything with it, or you just kind of see it off in the distance? And you're like, for the people who are going to say, "Oh, that's just an airplane with contrails," what can you say to them to make sure you know that like it's not that?
I think another thing I guess I'll say to that point that I just think is interesting and what's different is I never see any of this during. Well, we see the chemtrails during the day. Those are also rampant in Colorado, but I don't. Commercial airlines flying during the day are very obvious, and they fly much higher than whatever these aircrafts are flying, and they just get really prevalent at like right at dusk. And so maybe an answer to that question is just that is I've only the vertical flying is different. I don't even see the chemtrailers doing that. So that was just And that was only one that I saw of the two.
And that one, when it was doing it, you were like actively seeing it fly vertically. You feel like it was like you were watching that happen, or did it like look like it had just done that kind of thing?
I was watching that happen. I think I have a video of that one. I think is on my timeline somewhere.
Yeah, I think I saw that. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure too, because that's something that other some other New Jersey people are reporting too. Is that like that one looks like it's flying straight up and doing it. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'll get the ones posted of the helicopters. I have a lot of those. Those came through my neighbor, like right in front of my house, like 3 times last night. So I'll get those posted on my timeline tonight or tomorrow. And
Have you seen any shape shifting or mimicry, or is there any option you think that those helicopters might not be like normal helicopters?
I guess just they don't seem to be shining. Like for my head goes is like, hey, are they looking for something? Would they be shining a spotlight? And I can't, not looking at them right now. I don't believe that I saw that. So again, it's like the green and the red light is interesting. Oh, one other thing that I do remember that was strange, that I do have a video of this, is off in the distance behind my house one night. This was before, I think it was just right after Christmas, before we left town. But there was one off in the distance that was it was sitting in the same place for hours, and it was flashing green and red lights. So I kept coming out and checking to see if it had moved. I was like, is that a tower? But I'm like, I've never seen lights back there before. So I just kept watching it. And then all of a sudden I come out and I'm standing there I was watching it for probably a half hour, and I see it move up and down vertically. And then as it moves back up, it moves slightly to the left, and then it stayed in place for another hour, just flashing green and red. So I have the video of it, just this thing flashing green and red, just staying in place.
Was it pretty like windy? It's like winter, right? So I'm just imagining staying up for like hours. It's a lot of energy, right?
Yeah, I don't think it was windy that night, but I know there's nothing back there. I've gone and looked now, because I'm like, it like starts to make you second guess yourself. I'm like, is there some kind of tower with lights back there or something that I just haven't been privy to? But no, there's nothing back there. And it's gone now, obviously, but I know it was there. So I'll get that one posted also, if I haven't already. I can't remember if I did. I've got lots. I've definitely, like, what I'm seeing.
Yeah, you've been doing a great job of documenting it and stuff too. So kudos to you and some other people in here too. Neo down there.
Yeah.
I am Becki. Maybe we'll get her up here. She's out in Florida filming stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But let me see. Oh yeah, so shape shifting or orbs or anything like that, or are you mostly just seeing the mystery drone classic kind of like blinking lights, metallic looking things?
Yeah, I'm just seeing the mystery drone looking things. And it is, now that you say, hey, and I know these drones, they do mimic the look of airplanes kind of. So I am like, hey, what are these helicopters? I'll get those posted tonight after we hop off here. Because it's just strange that they're flying so low. But yeah, I haven't seen too many of the orb, not too many. I haven't seen any of the orb things. It has really just been a major kick up in quantity since Christmas of the drone situation going on. And it like feels really thick in my neighborhood. The one other thing I can say is, whenever I drive up 285 highway, you go up an elevation, and I've gone up a little ways, and you can kind of see over the Denver skyline. You can see all the way up to the city and all the way practically down to Colorado Springs, which is way south of Denver. For those not familiar, but I can see them off on the horizon, and you can see like 30 at any given time. Like, just, you can see some, like I said, some I noticed the brighter their lights shine, the more I see them staying in place. And then the more, when they start moving, then their lights dim, and either they'll flash just white lights, or they'll flash the alternate green, red, and white. So almost every single night at any given time, you can see off in the horizon. So I've done that, where I've driven up 285 and done that. And then after we saw that one pull out of the FEMA center area, my son and I went back there a couple nights later just to see if we could see any more activity over there. And we did not see any land or take off from the FEMA center, but we saw plenty, probably 20 to 30, looked like they were coming from Fort Collins even, which is about an hour north of Denver. And then tons of them flying over that federal center area, going both ways. But then we could also see them off in the Denver's like horizon skyline. Probably, again, like you can see 20 to 30 any given night.
What's your son's take on it all?
I mean, he knows what to look for now. I mean, it's just interesting whenever you finally get people to see that these are not airplanes, and you know what to look for, and you you see it, then you can't unsee it. But it's just, sometimes it feels really hard. I'm not trying to convince anybody at this point. Like, I get plenty of, people that want to naysay it, but I know something's up. Something is not right.
Yeah, and you said something too yesterday. I think an experience you had with your neighbor where you were able to get her to like hone in on that. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So I was outside of my house video recording because they were just so many of them up in the skies and flying over my house left and right. And she was walking her dog coming home. Super nice. We get along great. And she's like, "What are you doing?" As I'm out there video recording, and I'm like, "The drones are here." And I was like, "This is the same stuff that they're seeing in New Jersey." Because I reference it that way because that seems to be the most about what's talked about in the news. And I feel like if I can get anybody to see what I'm seeing, that'll be it. And she just said, "I think it's an airplane." And I said, "No, it's not an airplane." I'm like, just wait. I'm like, there'll be a few more that'll pass by here. And then as we're looking off into the distance, sure enough, there's like 3 or 4 in that group, like I've mentioned before, that I've seen, that it just seems, those are not how airplanes behave. And I said, "Look, they're over there." And she says, "Oh my gosh." She says, "I have to go in and tell my husband." So she went inside after that, and I haven't seen her since. But I think it's just whenever you point these little details out to people that, hey, this is not how normal airplanes fly or how they behave, but it takes that really detailed kind of different perspective of looking at it or thinking about it, I suppose.
I'm gonna say we've been hearing some reports, really like not that many, but some people are claiming like information downloads and stuff like that. Has there been anything like extra paranormal or anomalous around the times you see the drones, or maybe electronic interference or anything like that?
I don't think so. I was maybe like, I don't know if it's just crappy iPhone camera type stuff, but I mean, there'll be times where I feel like my camera is wigging out trying to capture some of this stuff, but it's, we're also trying to take this at night and there's no light. But I wouldn't say that I've seen anything like people's radios or anything like that. I have not personally experienced that, no.
Cool. So what is your general take on what's the vibe you get from them, and like if you had to like think who it could be doing this? And you said, right, they look pretty similar to the New Jersey ones. Do you think they're connected to the New Jersey ones? Is it possibly a different group, or and what group do you think it could be?
I do think that they look very similar, if not the exact same as the New Jersey drones. I even just having this conversation and thinking about the helicopter stuff that I've seen the last couple nights is even a little bit more disconcerting. My, I know this goes into a little bit more controversial territory with people, but I'm a Q person, and I read that body of literature in real time, and I respect everybody's position on how they feel about that, but I do feel like we are being watched or spied. I question what the capability of these drones are. I question the EMP capabilities of these drones. I question what they're putting in the air. Ironically, I'm actually up in Conifer right now, which is up that, I keep mentioning 285 highway up into the mountains. My older son goes to school up here, and he's at basketball practice tonight, and it's snowing like crazy up here. And as we were walking up the steps, we also, like, I'm sure some of you all have seen, like, people that have experienced this weird fog and then having snow, it looks like styrofoam. But that's what it looks like here tonight. The snow looks like styrofoam. So I'll grab a picture of that tonight too and get that on my timeline.
And is that pretty uncommon, like previous years in
Yes.
Colorado? This has never
Yes.
happened? So
Nope.
describe that a little more about what makes this different than previous years. Yeah, that's interesting.
I would just say the snow looks like, it's like, well, and ironically, what they describe the snow like here in Colorado oftentimes is champagne powder. It's very light and fluffy, and it looks like, I guess, what, I don't know, you would typically think of like snow. It's light and fluffy. It's kind of hard to describe, but this is not what the snow looks like. It looks like little styrofoam balls. And that's all I could say is, like, as we're walking up the steps, it was coming down pretty hard, and it just almost looks like sleet, but sleet comes down hard. This isn't coming down hard. It's still light, but it just looks like styrofoam. So yeah, I don't.
Does it feel like normal snow when you grab it, or like does it evaporate like normal snow, or does it like stay
Honestly,
longer?
I didn't touch it because probably my my alarm bell's going off about it a little bit, and I don't want to touch it.
That's a good
But
call.
I will take a picture of it when I leave here tonight, and I'll be sure to post it on my timeline for anybody that's interested in taking a look. But it's the first time that I've seen that, and that we had that fog here. We actually got back into town from Montana. We didn't roll in till like Sunday morning at 3 a.m. And the fog was here when we got into town, when we got back. And so now this is like, we had snow the night before last. It was a little bit lighter last night. And then it's back tonight up here in the mountains. I don't think it's snowing down in Denver right now, but I'll find out when we get back down the hill. So it's just, yeah, even my son mentioned it. He's like, Mom, we're walking up the stairs. He's like, Mom, look at the snow. It looks like what people are showing on social media. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It does. Holy crap. It does. So going back to your question about my intuition about these drones, just the timing of everything, I think feels extremely suspicious. My knowledge of what is in those Q posts, it makes it feel a million times more suspicious of who is really controlling our country right now. And I think that the American people are being lied to severely, and that's why everything feels so confusing, and the stories are going a million different directions every single day, and we don't know which way is up half the time right now. And everybody obviously knows what's going on in California. I think it's extremely concerning. So I feel like there is an infiltration situation going on. That's my honest opinion.
So let's dive into that really quick and too, but maybe if you have a question, then we'll close up here because we do have Tyler, who's out in New Jersey. He hopped up on the panel. He's also been filming stuff, but let's just dive into it.
Hey.
What's your take on
Hey.
what Q is, and with that framework, how does that apply to what you think the thing is? And yeah, zero fucks. I like hearing it all. I have my own interesting theory. I have like 3 interesting little sub theories about Q. But yeah, what's your take on that?
I think that I feel like it has good intentions. That body of literature does. I personally, how do I say this? It caused a drastic change in my own life just by reading it. I feel like it really did provide a lot of insight. My family has a lot of really strange experiences with the government, like vaccine injuries. We have a lot of that in our family, and family members that work for the medical system who were kind of even blind to it until it happened to their kids. And then my mother is, she had to go through the foster system back when she was a teenager. This is like 60 plus years ago. And I just have horror stories from her about her experiences with CPS and trafficking and all of that stuff. So I had I was able to resonate with that literature, I guess, a lot, maybe easier than some others could because of what they were saying. I had a little bit more insight into it from that perspective. So I kept reading it, and I was like, somebody is trying to get a message out. I know that this stuff, maybe not all is true. And I think what was hard for people is it was hard to see at the time, but I feel like, and a lot of people thought, hey, things were going to come true like around the 2020 timeframe. But I feel like what's happening today is making it much more relevant. And these posts are becoming much more eerily relevant today. Eerily. I mean, especially with these California wildfires going on. I do think that it is if it's people involved, it's a body of people. It's not one person. And there's, you can go way down to the bottom of the rabbit hole and say that it's not just people. There's other entities involved with it too. But I do generally feel like its intent was good. And its intent was to wake people up to some things.
Well, real quick on the entity thing, do you think like a non-human intelligence or like an AI kind of thing?
Yeah, like a non-human intelligence. I definitely believe, I think I believe in all of that. I think it would be silly for us to think that we're the only, that we're the only entities out there with knowledge of what this universe is all about. And so I guess that's what I can speak to.
Well, and then with that framework, what does that apply to the drones? Like, what does Q think the drones are? How is Q alluded to the drones?
There's only a couple posts in Q related to the drones, actually, and they do say that they say tracking only the drones. And I can post that on my timeline too for anybody that's interested. And it's really actually, it's a very easy platform to search where all the posts are stored now. It's qalerts.app for anybody that is interested. And you can go up and there's a search bar, type in drones. It'll pull up the 2 posts that are related to drones, and it says tracking only. But it also says in there that disinformation is necessary. It says that multiple times in a lot of the posts. And so it seems like this body of literature was meant for several different audiences. And I could see why that would be the case, where again, I think like its intent was to maybe confuse a certain audience of people. And if there's another audience of people that it was meant to wake up. And I think that again, it was, I can see why a lot of people like reading it out of the gate would be like, this is bullshit. This is crazy. But again, I had this, other perspective from just actual family experience that, horror stories come along with those stories and actual experience. And so it resonated with me. And I knew that a lot of what they were saying was actually true. And so I stuck with it. And I too was like, I honestly was really disappointed in 2020. I was like, well, gosh, is it a bunch of bullshit? Because of the way the election turned out, I was bummed. But then as time has gone on, these last 4 years, I now see that, like I said, it's just becoming a lot more relevant today. And it's like by the minute, these posts become like something's going to slap us in the face. And it had to be this way. Like the trauma, some kind of trauma is going to come over this earth, but it's almost like it had to be this way so that it never happens again. Like it has to hurt this time. I hope that doesn't come across as I'm not trying to scare and I hope I'm wrong. I'll say that too. But so many things are getting so far out of hand, and it's happening slowly, which also makes it feel like more of an infiltrative type, what do I want to say? Infiltrative like energy versus like a really fast invasion. But I think it's going to be something that, slowly happens. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's just happening. Things are happening everywhere and it's out of control and there's nothing we can do about it type of situation too. Which
Wow.
California seems like a kind of a foot down in that door. Like these fires are just being lit. I saw in the news where there's another one, I think Calabasas area, where it's on fire and it's just raging. And I mean, all of that to me feels very Maui-esque. And so many things about it. Again, whenever you read into the details of, cars that are practically melting, but trees still have their leaves on them type of thing. I know weather can do weird things, but it seems strange. I would
Definitely very weird, I think.
question everything. Not telling anybody what to believe in, but I would question the hell out of everything right now. And I do believe that there's a few posts, if you look on my timeline, that I have really stuck out to me for this time specifically. There's one that says something to the effect of that, the American people, there's like the largest coordinated disinformation campaign going on or being launched against the American people. Coordinated is the operative word there. There's a post in there about, whenever you can attack the United States head on, you develop they put it in brackets, a kill from within internal operation. So, you have all these people flooding across the border and talk of sleeper cells going on. Then we have California lighting on fire. And, of course I feel awful for these people. I can't even imagine like what those people are going through. Red state, blue state, it doesn't matter. And that's what I actually loved about Q, is it wasn't about that. It's not about red. It's not about blue. It's not black versus white. It was just that there was going to come this time that was going to be very deceptive. And it feels very much like these posts are coming into focus today. So yeah, anybody feel free to dig down my timeline. I circulate a few different posts a lot because it just feels eerily, they feel eerily in focus today to me. So yeah, that's what I have to say about the Q entity. I don't believe everything that it has to say, but again, I don't know that it was talking about any specific time. Like a lot of that stuff could still come true. And like, I know a lot of it has come true. And like I said, I know a lot of it is true because of my own family experience that has already happened. So it's not to me, some of it's, or all of it's fake. I know that's not true either.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tupa, do you have any questions for Kristin before we move over to Tyler? He might be making a sandwich. But yeah, okay. Kristin, any closing thoughts you have on that? Thank you for sharing that. I know it's like whenever you talk about that stuff, you have to put all these like preambles and stuff about it because of the way it's been covered
it's
in
all
the
good.
media. But
It's all good.
yeah.
Happy to talk about it anytime. I love talking about it. So thanks for having me on.
Sweet. Thank you, Kristin. All right. We'll get to Tyler. Tyler, how are you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, man? Yeah, you've also been posting interesting videos, and you're out there in New Jersey, I believe, right?
Yeah, I'm right in Camden County. I'm about 5 minutes from the Walt Whitman Bridge that leads to Philadelphia.
So why don't you maybe run us through the timeline of like when you started hearing about the drones in the news, and if you have any family or friends that see them, and then when you started seeing them and some of the videos you filmed, and you also captured these things spraying something. So yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
just
yep.
chronologically through the timeline. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, so I saw it on social media back around Thanksgiving time. That's when it was mostly up in North Jersey. I would say about like a week or so right after Black Friday is when I first started seeing them around me. I would see a couple, maybe 4 or 5 a night, really spread out. As of this past week, though, every night there seems to be a lot more. Like I would say, anytime I go out, I can take a walk and I'll see about 30 of them, all spread out through the sky. Um, I do live in a direct flight path to Philadelphia National Airport. So when I see airplanes, I'm usually seeing them when they're about 2,000 feet. So I know I can distinguish what's an airplane and what isn't an airplane. These drones, they seem to be flying way, like I would say probably at least 30,000 feet above, and they're just stationary, and then once in a while they'll start moving. And yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, so maybe walk us through some of your videos if you want, or some of the things you captured and some of the characteristics you're noticing about these drones.
Yeah, so I would say about maybe 2 weeks ago, before the fog started. Yeah, what was interesting is that was the night before the fog is the first night I started seeing them s- having some type of spray coming like behind it. And the very next day is when New Jersey got hit with like this massive amount of fog, more than New Jersey's probably seen in a long, long time. And I found that quite interesting. Just last night, I also saw, I think, 2 or 3 of them spraying.
Describe the spraying in as much detail as you can for people, and what makes you think it's not airplane contrails and whatnot, if there's any kind of smells or anything associated with it, and what are they spraying over? As much detail as you can give.
Yeah, so I would say compared to a regular airplane contrail, these are flying a lot lower than that, and it's I would say the spray is like thick and like white, and it's wide. It's a lot wider than your typical normal plane contrail.
When you look close at it, can you see like almost like a what's the word? Like an exhaust or something coming from the drone in association with the spray that lets you know that like this thing is like shooting that out. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. The drones that I'm seeing, they look triangular shape.
So you said you saw one spraying and then you saw another set of two spraying together, right?
Yes, yep. I did post a picture. I'm not sure if I sent it to you, but
Yeah, and I think I did
yeah,
put them up in the
it was a
nest too.
really
Some of the spraying ones up
yeah,
there.
it was a really noticeable one.
And Kristin, if you want to hop in on this question too. So do you guys think this crazy fog is associated with the spraying drones?
You know, I I don't know because, like I said, I've only seen two, but I've been gone the last week too, so I can't, say how many more are actually happening. I've just seen two, but I've seen them in two totally different neighborhoods of Denver, and all I can say is that when we came back from the trip this last time, when we rolled into Denver, it was already foggy. So I don't know.
What does your gut tell you?
My gut tells me, yeah, something figuratively stinks about all of this. Again, like
Because you
I
guys
go back
both
to my knowledge.
described fog that you've never really witnessed before in close proximity to these things spraying, right? And you guys are in two different parts of the country. Wow.
Two different parts of the country, and I will say, but like on clear days here, like they are spraying the skies during the day, like the chemtrail stuff. Those planes are going nuts here every single day, and I notice that they always spray around the sun, which I think is interesting. I can't say that I know a lot about that or why they would do that, but I do notice they always try to cross the path of the sun. But then I think the night spraying of whatever these other things are spraying, I can't say for certain, but I do think it's extremely suspicious. Like I said, we're going to head back down to Denver here shortly, and I'll get some pictures of the snow outside, but it looks like styrofoam. It does not look like our normal snow. So yeah. Something feels off.
What about
Very
you,
much
Tyler?
so.
Do you think, thank you, Kristin. What about you, Tyler? Do you think there's a direct, obviously we don't know, right? But what does your gut tell you about this weird fog? And also, is there anything, some people are reporting getting sick around this fog. Have either of you reported that? We'll go to Tyler and Kristin wants to hop in on that. But yeah, or the fog, what's up with that, Tyler?
Yeah, so I I don't know, man. I do think it could be related. That day when it was so foggy, like a few days later, I started getting like this weird, irritated, like burning throat pain. It wasn't like no sore throat or any of that. It was just like a burning sensation is the best way to explain it.
And have other people been with you, Tyler, when you witnessed this spraying? Or have any other family, friends, coworkers witnessed the spraying at all?
Just my children. My youngest son, he's 8, and he's quite interested in coming out at night and trying to spot them with me.
What's his take on everything?
He finds it interesting. He thinks it's aliens, of course, but
What do you think it is?
man, I've been so torn on this, and I've been doing like the process of elimination, and the more drones, they're so spread out, and they're in every other state, pretty much it seems like, and now they're popping up in other countries. So I don't know. I thought it could be maybe like China or Russia, but then again, they're in every other country. Why would they like that? Just doesn't make sense to me.
Have you witnessed any kind of anomalous stuff in association with these things? Like, I don't know, people have been reporting, like Kristin here and others. The camera's kind of acting funky. Sometimes people's camera apps will close or radio interference, anything like that.
No, no, I haven't had any of those issues.
How about the grid light thing? You're saying you're seeing a bunch of them, like 10 to 30 at times even. Are they kind of flying in patterns and formations with each other over certain areas?
No, so I don't even have like a Navy base or anything close by. I think the closest one's about 30 miles away. So I live in a pretty urban area, so I don't know what they could be yeah, I don't know. Then they seemed really spaced out by me, but once in a while I'll see like maybe 3 or 4 tagging along. But most of the ones that I'm seeing, they're really spaced out from one another.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to maybe add to this that you witnessed or any of the videos you want to share or interesting stories around town that you've heard?
Nah, that's pretty much it. Every night I'm going to just start headed out and trying to see if I could capture more videos though.
Yeah, you're doing great, Tyler. Doing great videos. You too, Kristin, out in there in the car with your kids. It's nice that it's interesting. It's become like a family bonding thing for some people.
I know, right? I'm just glad that my kids see it, and I think that's all we can do is like, if we can show people the details and show them the anomalies with all of it. I think we just, something is going on that is not on the up and up. That is my gut feel.
Yeah. All right. Well, and we do have our two, but do you have any questions for Tyler? And we do have one more person we brought up here, Becki, who's out there in Florida, who filmed some pretty viral UFOs on her Facebook Live that we're going to get to next. But yeah, Tupa, any thoughts on this? He's just passed out. We'll bring up Doomer Daddy. We'll see if Doomer Daddy wants to say anything into the panel, and then we'll get over to Becki. Hi, Becki.
Hi.
And welcome, Doomer. Doomer, you have any thoughts on any of the previous witnesses before we get into Becki's testimony? If not, all right. We'll just go ahead and start with Becki. So Becki filmed on Facebook Live in like early December, I want to say, Plantation, Florida. I'm sure you guys all saw it. It looks like what appears to be shape-shifting. So we're going to get her testimony and also get her, because she did check flight radar. And, you know, I want to hear her response to everyone saying that it's just a distant plane turning and whatnot. So Becki, yeah, why don't you walk us chronologically through the timeline of events, how it happened down there in Florida. Oh, and then I do want to get into, too, I think the news crew had came out to visit Becki and low-key tried to coerce her into debunking her sighting. But we'll get into that later. I do have that clip somewhere. But yeah, walk us through the timeline of how it started for you.
Hi, I'm finally here. I'm still a little bit sick, so if my voice is a little scratchy, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, this started for me about a month ago. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we hear you great.
Okay, so this started about a month ago. I've been basically documenting these for weeks now. The live stream didn't happen until a few days after I had started. But the first time that I saw these, I was actually with my kids too. So children seem to be involved in these. I was driving home and we saw like a green light and we followed it. I parked in a place where there was no trees or anything blocking it. And I had already seen a lot of, I was actually watching like prior, it was so weird. I was watching a YouTube video of the Jersey drones. So I already had like in my mind how they looked like. So when I drove up and we pulled out, we got out of the car and I started documenting. I already knew what I was looking at. It was so weird. I had never seen them before. But I saw two triangular drones approaching an orb. And the orb got so bright it looked like it was shining a spotlight on me. And this I have this on my timeline, but it's from like a month ago. But it when I zoomed in on it, it looked like a big orb, but it was just a very weird looking thing the way that it came out on the video. And then it started pulsating, and then immediately after a few seconds it was like emitting what I feel like was plasma or energy. And I started seeing like a little red light, and then some little things that look like wings. At one point it looks like a fly or something, and then it starts to take a shape of of like a aircraft. That night, that was December 6th. That night, they were all over my house. It was insane. I had somebody with me who saw them. They were taking the shape of an actual like airplane, and they were flying above, and they had a sound of an airplane. That has never happened again since that. Like they haven't been that close to my house since. So that was,
So
in a
for
way,
that
I
one,
felt like,
let's dive into that one real quick if we can, because that one's like
sure,
probably one of the better shape shifting, if you will. So how far was
yeah.
that? And that again goes from like an orb to a plane. And how close was it? Because I know everyone, all the debunkers, and I feel bad for you too, because I feel like the more viral you get, the more like vitriol you get.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yours went super viral. So yeah, what makes you sure that it wasn't just a distant plane with its headlights turning, which is the go-to for these shape shifting?
Sure.
And yeah, how far was it? Everything, yeah.
Sure. So the live stream that I did was a few days later. That one was at the golf course, where close to where I live, and I was facing it, and I do, as well as the other speaker said, I do live also on a kind of like a proximity to Fort Lauderdale International Airport. So I'm very used to the the airplanes. They also fly around 3,000 feet above our house, and I can feel it. So we're very used to them. But either way, I went on flight radar 24 immediately, and there was nothing. At one point, it seemed like they were being directed, like they were going in a circular motion or something, or maybe that's just the way that day the air traffic was, having them do their landing at the airport. But there was nothing. The thing that struck me, that I, not only because I didn't see anything on radar, but just even if, let's say I didn't have the access to look at radar, um, they there's no way an airplane can do what these things were doing. Um, First of all, it was a larger orb that looked like a big spotlight, and then a smaller orb right above it. Every time I've seen these metamorphoses that I call them now, there's always another orb above it. So I've always said that it's like the energy source. That it feels like they're feeding off of each other, or one of them is giving it energy so that it can propel, and become take a shape of a craft. But this was once it would take the shape of a craft, it would go into like this weird, like, nose down sort of type of thing, where it just like has a spotlight looking down, and it has like a very long shape, and it starts to take kind of like the shape of a fuselage, and then it starts to form like some kind of wings, and it's all very translucent. It doesn't, like, you can see through it, kind of gassy. It's like a gaseous type of shape. It doesn't look like it's like a hard, I don't know, like a hard surface type of material. So you could see through it, and then it just kind of flies kind of like nose down, and then it just goes in circles. And then another orb comes up, it just elevates up, and it does the same thing again. It's not the same orb. It's like they just appear, right? So this happened 5 times in the live stream. And there's no way, because first of all, the airplanes do not fly towards me where I live in Plantation, Florida. They fly away from me, right? So from where I was facing, they would be flying away from me. I don't know how to explain it. I'm really bad with orientation, but this was like towards me. I don't know if I'm explaining. So the airplanes that are going to land, if they were to have a spotlight and you would see them kind of like shining a light, and then they would land, they would be in the completely opposite direction. There's no landing place where I'm at in the golf course. Does that make sense? So it just would not make sense in any way possible that these were airplanes or helicopters.
So yeah, it went from and this is kind of what we've seen being reported too, is it like a white ball of energy to the kind of fixed craft drone mimicry. You called it what, metamorphosis, shape shifting kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and one thing that I want to say, like the first time I saw them, December 6th, so between December 6th and a few days later, so when I did the live stream, I saw drones the first time, 2 drones engaging the orb, and then kind of like float away. And this time, I did not see any drones. The live stream was strictly orbs changing into craft. Does that make sense? Like, the drones are not always there. That's one thing that I've noticed. They're not always there. But yeah, these are balls of light, of pure plasma or energy that in my opinion, because of the research that I've done, and I've also gone to the beach, and I've watched the live cams at the beach. I think they're feeding off of our own infrastructure and our own energy and atmosphere, or elements, and they're using our energy to change from that kind of like light ball status, or form, into something that to the human eye looks just like any conventional manned aircraft. So they're using mimicry to remain hidden in plain sight.
Do you think the drones and the orbs are like 2 different things when you see them interact with each other, or do you think they're kind of like on the same team? If you like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that I have my theories. For sure the drones are like, they're ours in my opinion, just because of I've seen them so many times, and I've also they've I gotta be careful how I speak publicly. Uh they they're in familiar areas, let's just put it that way. They're in familiar areas, and they are a lot lower in altitude than the orbs. Orbs can be all the way up to like where the stars are, right? These drones are they're pretty predictable, if that makes sense. And they're not always present, but when they are present, they seem to be collecting data. Whether it's surveillance, like mapping of like the ground, vehicles, whatever, or they're probably surveilling the orbs, which is what my take was, that they were engaging, surveilling, whether they're part of the same program. That is beyond my understanding. I have my opinions, but I do believe that this is our own technology, these drones, whereas the orbs seem to be more of a energy driven phenomenon that does not seem to have any man-made man-made capabilities, because they have kind of supernatural or paranormal. I don't know what I don't know how to explain what the right word would be, but because how they appear, reappear, they pulsate, all of these things. I don't think that they're like man-made. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
definitely something alien, or alien technology, or non-human intelligence. And that, we can take that to another level, but the drones are definitely, in my opinion, they're definitely man-made.
Have you had any kind of anomalous experiences around witnessing the orbs or kind of downloads? Some people are reporting. Yeah, and it could get weird. So if you just say it if you don't want to, but yeah, anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like I definitely have. I'll be a little bit vague. But for instance, like I had 2 years ago, I had kind of like my first sighting, I guess would be, and this is where I've heard other people tell me that these things started like around 2022 showing up, where they became visible to a lot of people, but not in mass, right? I had like my first sighting in 2022 with my kids again. We thought we were looking at a star, but it started pulsating and moving. It was very odd and weird, and it freaked us out a little bit. And it stayed kind of like it wasn't a star. Anyway, I had a feeling it was a UFO. I left it at that. But when I started noticing the Jersey drones, it came back to my subconscious, and I feel like, I don't know, like just like there has to be some kind of connection to consciousness. That, I don't know, am I explaining myself? Because once I started thinking about this, right, is when I immediately started like witnessing, and this has happened with other people. So like that I've known, like that I have spoken to, and then they started either trying to find, um, like try to look for them or hunt them, and then all of a sudden they start showing up. So I do believe I've experienced the hitchhiker effect that Luis Elizondo talked about, for sure. So maybe that's one of the things that I feel a little bit more comfortable talking about, just because it's out there. Um, and and um, and that type of thing where like I'm driving and I see an orb like right in front of me, type of thing. Not up in the sky, but like literally hovering on the street light. So at the very beginning, I was seeing them everywhere. It's like they were trying, like right leading up to the live stream. I felt like I was starting to see them everywhere. I was having dreams. Um, a little bit of paranoia, but I didn't let it get to me. But in one way, I was like, you know, it got intense. I got intense, and then I realized that we have, at least me, anybody who has these has like or is very perceptive, or is like spiritually, in touch, that we have like the ability to kind of like not let it get to us, right? Be mentally strong, and then it stopped completely, and I was able to just kind of like document them and not affect me. But yeah, it got a little intense in the beginning.
Was there some unwanted and kind of like negative interactions with some of these things?
No, because I don't interact with them. I don't believe in that. I'm a Christian, and I don't believe in interacting with anything that I'm not sure what it is. So, but I how to explain it? I did have a sense that everywhere I went, they were there. Here locally in my area. You know what I'm saying? Like without me even needing to look, or because a lot of people there, when my video went viral, I started getting a lot of people contacting me, and they wanted to find them, and they went and they, you know, I didn't have to go finding them. It's like they were finding me. You know what I'm saying? It's like like these things wanted me to see it, to document it, and they showed the best possible view. I had the best possible view and the best possible ability to witness it, because I feel like it led to that moment. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Like I felt like it was like like I had the right disposition. I was open minded, and it just happened.
So do you think they're interfacing with your consciousness, right? So like when you think
Yes.
something, they're able to pick up on it. What do you think's at play there? Is it a spiritual thing? Is it a technology thing?
Well, like I said, I'm a Christian, so I don't believe in interacting with it. So like I've had people tell me to interact it through telepathy. I will not do that. But I do think that there is some kind of technology that we're not like that we're not aware of, right? Because right now we're just being introduced to AI. But I think it's like beyond what, you know, what we would think of AI, but that they have the ability to kind of have, I don't think that they can tap into our mind unless we allow it to. I think there's people that have allowed it to, and they can tap into the mind and do telepathy. But I think there is some kind of um, ability to kind of perceive, like they're intuitive. You know what I'm saying? Like they're very intuitive, and I think they're highly intelligent.
I wonder if that's
And
why they find you so interesting, is because you refuse to be controlled by them or manipulated, and you're not afraid. So I think you would be a very interesting person, because you're unique for sure. And I love your
Yeah.
oh sorry, I love your story.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean in the I just in the beginning I kind of let a little bit of like, oh my gosh, you know, because it was intense. There was one time that I went to my backyard and I saw one like not too far, like there's a like little pond, and over there I could see it, and my husband thought I was paranoid. He thought I was actually getting paranoid, but I know that's what I was saying. Eventually he came through when he started seeing it himself. Um, and um, and I think that once I said no, you know, when I stood there and I recorded the live stream for 20 minutes straight, the last orb that came through, it shined such a bright light on me that it intimidated me, and I was like, I'm done recording. Like I don't want to record it anymore, because I felt like in a way it was kind of feeding off of my energy, and I was like, nope, I'm done. You're not gonna feed off my energy. I'm cutting this out.
So it literally beamed a
But
light on you, and you felt a physical reaction
I
from
felt
that.
it. I felt the light. I felt like it was literally shining a light on me, like my physical body. And I was like, that's it. I'm done. Because I talked to some people and I said, you know, just be careful. I really feel like these are energy things, right? They're plasma. They use another thing that I also researched, because went into research mode. I started, so can I just talk a little bit more about like kind of more documentation that I've
Yeah,
done?
all you. Yes, please.
So I was like, you know what? Where are these things coming from? So I see that people are saying that they're coming from the Jersey Shore. I'm like, okay, but we're in Florida. I'm in South Florida. Are they coming from our shores, from our beaches? So I went on the Fort Lauderdale beach cam, and we have like so many cameras, live cams, I mean, all over the United States, but Fort Lauderdale has a few angles. So I started looking at multiple angles of Fort Lauderdale beach, and I started seeing them, and I could see them come from the horizon, from the ocean in. And then we have, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino here in Hollywood, Florida. We have the Guitar Hotel that just opened a few years ago. It has a laser beam show, which is the guitar has like lasers that point all the way up, I don't know how many miles up into the sky. And some videos have gone viral. People think that it's like a UFO, but it's really the lasers that are pointing up, and you could see them from miles away. And you could see that in the camera, in the live cam, you could see the lasers pointing up, and there was kind of like the arch of, I don't know, it looked like an arch that was hovering over the laser of the guitar, and and then when I would fall, and I have all of this documented, I try to post them, but it's hard because it's a video of a video. But I could see the orbs entering that like arch, and that's when they would immediately transform from orb to flight. and I could see the plasma, kind of like that vapor that people have been saying that they see that they emit. I could see that that's what was propelling them into our atmosphere, like into the actual like city, and then they would go and they would take root into different areas of the city. Like I saw all of that on a live cam. So I was like, okay, they're using the energy. They're probably using energy from our infrastructure. That's probably why they go to different places that are full, you know, like all the places that they're being seen. And then they're very much attracted to the guitar because it's laser. So I figured out that that's why maybe we're such a hot spot here in Fort Lauderdale, and especially by the beach, by Hollywood. And
That's a good
also
thought
I
because like
started.
the Stephen Greer stuff, right? They use lasers and whatnot. So if you have a giant one in your town, maybe that is what's bringing them there.
Yes, there's a black. You can Google it. It's the only one now. They're starting to build one in Las Vegas, where the Mirage was, but it's the only guitar here, Las Vegas, the Hard Rock Hotel guitar. Anyway, it's lasers. That's all it is, and they start like around 6 o'clock, and it goes all night, and that's when they're most active. And when it's very cloudy, and like it's ominous because I could see it from my house, and you could see like the orbs around it, and they kind of like just hover around the guitar. And but I've seen it on live cam. So my husband's like, "Well, you're so like you're watching the live cam. Why don't we just go to the beach?" It's like, let's just go and check it out. And then we went to the beach. And then I recorded it. I saw the same thing like in the beach. I saw them coming in through the ocean. The same thing. I saw them transform from orb to craft. And yeah, so I do believe that they're coming from the ocean for sure,
And
or at least not necessarily from like inside the water, like in the in the shore, but like for sure from the horizon, from the Atlantic.
back to the mist really quick. When you saw them spraying the mist, did you smell anything, or what were your general thoughts on that? And also, is there fog where you are now?
Well, I with the mist. Let me see. That's when I saw it on the actual live cam of the Fort Lauderdale beach. In person, I don't really. I just see like bright light, and then I see it pulsating, and I see kind of like like I could see the energy around it. But it's not like a mist that it's too far away from me. In other words, but I did have fog. 3 weeks ago, it was really, really bad for 2 days, and I lost my voice. Was getting over a cold. I started having sore throat. Within a day, I had no voice. That was right after I got interviewed by the local news. That was very, very odd. The app on Apple said that it was bright and sunny, but the entire sky and even just the ground, it was all covered in like a thick cloud of like not like I don't even know, and it smelled like burnt. And it made my voice go away. It made my sore throat, everything. And then I was in Orlando for a week
That's
last week.
interesting. Real quick about the app thing, we need to get more people checking that because that's an interesting data point. Some of these apps are, some of these motion tracker apps too, be tracking people's abductions. But that's interesting. Sorry, continue. Thank you.
Yeah, and because I it wasn't matching, and then I was like, that's so weird. Like I expected this. It was already like 8:30. I had just dropped off my daughters, and fog, and when the sun is coming up, you expect to be fog around this time of year. That's fine, but when the sun is already fully out and it's bright and sunny, it just didn't match, and it just felt off. Something felt off. The air felt off, so I lost my voice, and then we went to Orlando, which is like 3 hours north of where I live. And over there, I didn't see any of the anomalies that I see here. There's no drones. Oh, before that, can I also say something about the drones? Another thing that I
Yes,
noticed.
please.
So we went for the holidays, one of the Christmas holidays, can't remember. I think it was the 24th. We went to South Miami. So this is just so like another thing that I picked up on. I think these are geographically like limited. I don't know if that makes sense. Like to me, it seems like there's certain areas where they just don't go, because when we were going south, the drone, I'm talking about the triangular one, the one that has like the lights that flash, that hover. Um, it was kind of like we could see it And then once I passed a certain part of the highway where it went really south, it kind of turned back. The same thing with the orb. The orb came to a certain point and then I never saw it again. So when we went all the way down south, like maybe 60 miles south from where I live, there was nothing in the sky. The skies were clear. So I think there's some kind of areas where there's hot spots, I guess is what I'm trying to say, you know. And then when I went up north, so we were down south and then we went up north to Orlando, to Central Florida. All I could see was like small orbs that looked like stars, kind of like what I saw back in 2022, where they're kind of like just like fixated. And you know what they are. You know they're not stars, but they're not like moving or doing anything to draw attention to themselves. They're just like stationary. But the fog was so bad in Central Florida. It was so bad. And my friend that lives a little bit south of where I was, she was like, "Man, it's been so bad here." My mom that's lived here like for 13 years, she's never seen it. And then the aerosol, the chemtrails were just, I've never seen the skies. And it's like you could see the solar dimming, which I think the one of the speakers were saying that the sun kind of looks like it's being covered. Well, I think that's solar dimming. What I think that's the name of it. Where they're trying to like lower the radiation of the sun or something like that. But you could see it. It was so visible. I took pictures and videos. When we came back, we all were sick. We were sick. I mean,
Oh, your whole family
I'm
was
still
sick.
sick. We were all sick. Like we just getting over it.
Oh, and that's this current
So
sickness that you have right now that you've been like, hey, I
yeah.
can't do it because I'm sick. Wow, crazy.
Yeah. So I think that all of it is related. Um, I think that the obviously they're geoengineering. And it's all over the United States. That's increased. I think that they're speeding that up, or they're. I mean, and I see those airplanes up there like 40,000 feet above, and I track them on the flight. You know, I could see them spraying, and then this fog. I feel like is part of this. I feel like the fog and the drones are part of the same program. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Do
feel
you
like
think
there's
it's
some
a
kind of
NHI thing, or you think those are human US tech? What do you think those are?
well, the plasma. So then I don't want to get too complicated.
Go for it.
I feel like the orbs are plasma based. So that within itself is emitting EMF because these things they work through electromagnetic frequencies. That's how they kind of use like that's how they maintain their proportion, or I don't know how to say the correct propulsion. And they feed off of how our own infrastructures, electromagnetic frequencies, and all of that. So I think that within itself, that's toxic. And whatever that vapor is, I think that's what it is. It's that radiation. So that within itself is toxic. That's why I feel like there was a lot of in Jersey, the radiation levels were elevated at one point, and people were seeing that their trackers at home were showing elevated. That's what that is. These things are and this is something that you can just search, whether through ChatGPT or Google, you know, Gemini. They're based they use EMF. So I feel like that they're already toxic, right? So I don't want to be exposed to them. That's why when they started shining light on me, I was like, okay, that's enough. Like
Time
I
to
don't
go
want to be
in.
exposed. Yeah, I feel like they do emit radiation, whether it's by design, that's up into debate. Now the drones and smart dust fog, I feel like that's more of a, you know, that's a little bit more of a similar uh, NASA circa 2025 type of thing. If you guys already looked into that.
Actually haven't. Do you want to maybe go into that real quickly?
Well, it's a document from I believe 2001. I'm sorry. Back in my day when I was still in high school. Well, actually, I was graduating high school. It came out. Nobody really knew about it, but it's basically like it's like a whole plan. It's a whole plan of how they're going to basically make us sick. All types of using direct energy weapons, using biological, everything that they can to sicken us, weaken us. NASA put it up there, and and it's technology that's been patented, that's already been out there. This is on nothing, you know, overt. I mean, nothing covert or nothing secret. They put this out there, you know, all these years ago. It's just not a lot of people know about it. But there's a video circulating on X. There's a lady that she's reading it out loud, and she's saying, you know, this is what they're gonna do, and this is their plan for 2025. And part of it was a smart dust, some kind of smart dust that they were gonna use.
Panda, is it okay if I jump in and ask a question? By the way, thanks for the.
Yeah, we'll get a. You want to? Can we give it to Z Herbs real quick? They had something, and then
Yeah,
we'll
of course,
go
of course,
Doomer.
totally.
And then I want to still. I want to play that when she went on the news. But yeah, I'll do a quick little question round, and then once Becky's done with everything, I'll probably we'll open it up to everyone else and have more of a discussion. But yeah, so Zerbs, Doomer, quick questions, then we'll continue along the timeline, and then open it all up.
Hey, thanks for letting me talk. Long time listener, first time caller. I just wanted to point out a couple things that, you know, the Jacques Vallée talks a lot about orbs and a lot of the effects that we're seeing here. Everything from the mimicry to the radiation to acknowledging them mentally and being targeted. He's written about that extensively. It's not like a new phenomenon in any kind of way. It's sort of standard operating procedure for orbs and whatever you want to call them. And then I just wanted to point out too that, you know, the drones and the myths and stuff, there's a lot of rhetoric about that and whether it's our tech, and I think some of it is our tech, and there's a lot of available documentation you can read about them distributing fine particles in the air to get better sensor readings and all this stuff from their equipment that they use. And I think a lot of that is us trying to potentially measure the phenomena during this flap. So a lot of the drones that we're seeing, and I think that also just goes to speak to the big lack of knowledge that we have as the general public about the extent as to how far science has actually gotten in developing some of these things. And so I just wanted to point some of that stuff out. If you guys are interested, there's a lot of available research and some books that are already written. And I just wanted to say again, Becca, I appreciate you for sharing what you have experienced in documenting. All of you guys that document videos and stuff, I used to do it a lot. And after my archive got wiped about 5 years ago remotely, same thing happened to some of you, I think, in here. I kind of quit on the video train, and now I just am more of an activist. But anyway, I just want to say thank you for the guys that do that. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, they're killing it. A lot of you guys have been killing it with these videos. Great job, guys. Doomer.
Yeah, Panda, you've been kicking ass, by the way. Amazing space. The drone slut strikes again. Panda, you're knocking it out of the park. I want to say thank you to Tyler and Becki reporting on the drones, and everybody else who's been pushing up videos. Most of my questions, Panda, I'll save them for the end. I don't want to derail. It seems like you have a structure going on. I just wanted to clarify, Becki, were you seeing some of the orbs morph into the drones? And if yes, why would you assume that at least not some of the drones aren't part of the orbs and not human tech?
Hi. So the orbs, they don't morph into the conventional drones that are triangular, that kind of like have that flashing light. They're very they in the news they showed. It's funny because when they interviewed me, they showed two videos. One was of the orb that had shape shifted, or whatever you want to call it, into an airplane, and then they showed the actual drone. So they're two separate things. The drones don't change. They kind of like are the same exact thing. They're just very they're just the same. They're the same structure. They don't do anything. They show up, and sometimes they don't show up. They usually hover and go probably like at the same height of like a helicopter, I want to say. They don't go too high. And then that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not the same as the orbs. The orbs are they're a completely different technology. They're non-human technology.
And thank you,
in my opinion.
Yeah, and thank you for clarifying. So, and maybe I joined the space late, so that's my fault. But were you saying you saw the orbs change into something that was some sort of a craft?
Yes. So you would have to see the video. I have multiple videos of the same thing happening in different locations. But they have like a sequence of events. They show up. There's usually a smaller orb above it. So it's not just by itself. There's always something like another orb above it, or maybe two or three. And it starts to grow and then get smaller. So I call that pulsating. And then it does that a few times. And you could see like that plasma vapor around it, like emitting it. It emits it as it's pulsating. And then these little white little wings start to grow on the sides, and that starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. The spotlight starts getting smaller, and then it starts to take a shape. It could take a shape of an airplane. It could take like an actual airplane, like a commercial airplane. It could take the shape of a small, like, private jet or a military. It could take shape of a drone. It could take the shape of a helicopter. I've seen those. I actually have a reel that went viral on Instagram because people keep debating that it's a real helicopter. They're not. They're these orbs that they created a shape of helicopters. And so they've even taken a shape of a blimp, of a, what is it called, a blimp or blip,
Yeah,
you
blimp.
know, the
Blimp,
ones
yeah.
that are,
Yeah.
okay, they've taken shapes of that here in Miami
And you said it was
multiple
like
times.
translucent, right? Like
They're
it
translucent.
as it's
So
shaped.
what
Okay, can you look real quick up
yeah,
in the nest? This one, there was this video out of Palos Verdes where it looks like to me that this thing, and it looks kind of like the similar shape shifting of other things. Some people say it's a balloon, but this one that where it's like it's going between different animals and it has the FAA lights. What are your thoughts on that video? Do you think that's real or fake, or does that kind of look like the same kind of mechanism at play, but just instead of being a plane on the other end, it's like an animal shape? I
I
just put
think,
it. Yeah.
are you asking me?
Yes, you. Yes, you. For what
Oh,
you're seeing out there, does that kind of look like that? And this also has what you said too, where there's like the object that's shapeshifting, but above it is this
yeah,
other drone thing. So I don't know. What do you think of that?
yeah, yeah, I think I saw that one that looks like animals, like different animals, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that one.
So yeah, I did see that. I was like, I don't know if this is real because CGI and all the stuff that is being thrown out there at the same time. But from what I have seen, with my own eyes, right? I have seen that they have a ability to cloak and an ability to project holographic images. So cloaking, like they can come in and out, they can kind of go like shut off completely and hide. And I think that's why I think the intelligence part comes into play, where they're either trying to remain hidden in plain sight, show up at the right moment to the right, I guess, individuals or places that they want to be seen. But part of it, I feel like is like a deception. It feels like to me, where they want to trick people into thinking this just conventional, whatever, or like maybe a balloon, right? Like, oh, it's just a balloon or whatever, or just played mind. Maybe there's some kind of psychological warfare going on at the same time, where they're just tricking the crowd into thinking like they're seeing things. So I've looked into this, and that's the only thing I can come up with. There's some trickery, mimicry, all that stuff going on.
And so Becki, when I ask, could these orbs be morphing into? I mean, you seem to have a different definition of the drones. You're saying, like, when you say drones, you're talking about something that's clearly human tech. But when the orbs are morphing and mimicking or cloaking themselves as virtually anything, there's no reason to say that they couldn't be cloaking themselves as the very things that you're describing as human tech.
Say that. Okay, can you break that down for
So
me? I'm sorry.
when you say drones, right? You're saying, like, clearly there's human drones out there. But then when I ask about the
Yeah.
orbs in terms of what craft they turn into, they almost can turn into anything. So
Yeah.
why couldn't they turn into the very things that you're saying looks clearly like human tech?
Because the drones engage the orbs. And that's the first. There's a video that I have. That's my first ever sighting of them. It was two drones engaging it, and they were, compared to the orb, they were small. They were small, like compared
That's
to the orb,
fascinating.
and they were hovering above it. I'm sorry, I take it back. They were hovering below it. The orb was above it, and it was like they were engaging it.
Yeah.
Kind of like, in my sense, it was either they were collecting data, surveillance, trying to see that what it was doing, maybe seeing if it was supposed to be doing what it was supposed to be doing, or I don't think it was like a confrontation, right? To me, it seemed like more of a surveillance, reconnaissance type of thing.
And have you seen any orb fights, orb on orb action, orb cannibalism?
Only on TikTok. No, I haven't seen them. I here I've only seen them like come out, like some, maybe one split into two. Like that's the most that I've seen. But I haven't seen any actual action or engagement, like where they're fighting or anything. But I have seen it. I've seen people that showed some of them even emitting beams. So that, and then that's another thing. I saw one that was orange, so they can change from like a white light to like a orange red, and they pulsate. So they seem to change. I'm talking about now the orbs, right? Like I said, the drones are just the drones. And you know what I think happened? I think with the Jersey, I think I don't know if it was part of the um narrative building, right? Or just the way people didn't know how to find a word to describe what they were saying. But I think everybody was using the same word to describe multiple things. But I feel like the drones are one thing, and the orbs are, I don't know, they're orbs, but they can transform into crafts. So when we
And
see
part of
them,
it, I think, is intuition, right? But I get what you're saying, Dimmer Daddy, because I've
yeah.
had that thought too. Like, how do you really know if it's not? But I feel like part of that's intuition.
Yeah, and
Also, real quick,
yeah.
if I could, I see Michaela down there, and I just want to say, girl, I love your energy, and we support you as a whistleblower. And if you want to come up and if you have any input or questions, I'd love for you to be a part of the conversation, and you're just welcome to listen if you'd like to. But
Yeah, and I'm not here to throw a narrative down anybody's throat. It's just it's fascinating. And it's,
Oh, and I,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
and I don't want to say that what I'm saying is fact. This is just how I've seen it and with my eyes, and it could be, I could be completely wrong. Like I could just be like flat wrong in my
Yeah.
case, but that's just the way that I've documented that every time I see, and a lot of times I don't even see the drones. I see them separately. Like my husband told me yesterday, he's like, I was driving and there was one right above the car, and he's like, it was triangular, it was flashing lights. I'm like, okay, that's the drone. Those are the drones that seem to follow vehicles.
If I can make a comment, I want to say that it's, important that we realize what we're talking about. We're conceptualizing technology that we obviously don't have a good understanding of. And so we have to, I think, try and stay away from painting any kind of narrative. A lot of this that we could easily construe as a threat narrative or anything can easily just be construed as communication, like your wolf hybrid video there where they're, that could be anything from our tech, that could be them, whatever it is, just communicating with us. If they have the ability to cloak and change shape and all this, they want to be seen. So it goes to say that, if they want to be seen, that doesn't necessarily speak to a threat narrative. It speaks to a communication narrative.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I think that, to your point about the drones too, is that we are seeing a mix in the sky of lots of different things. It's our tech, it's the unknown tech, it's probably foreign nation tech. There's a lot of stuff in the skies, and that is partially what contributed to this messy narrative from the start here about it being drones or whatever it is. That's part of the obfuscation, and it's just important to try and conceptualize that if we're dealing with an NHI or something unknown, that their level of technology, we can't assume anything or speculate. You just have to realize that, narratives are put in your head by someone
Yes,
else or
sir.
yourself. They might not be true,
All right, we're gonna focus on Becki. We're gonna close out with her real quick, and then we're gonna open up to some major discussions. Thank you, Zerbs. I wanted to get. You said your husband now is on board. What was the timeline of that? And then I do want to play this when you were on the news thing and what that was about. And then if you have any closing thoughts, then we'll get some greater community discussion on everyone's thoughts on everything. But yeah, when did your husband come around, and what does he think of everything now? And what does your family and friends kind of think in your area?
Well, he's still kind of like telling me not to obsess too much about it, to kind of just like let it play out. But he saw it yesterday without even trying to look for it. He was just driving, so he did bring it up to my attention, and he's like, "Wow, it was very close. I saw it above the car." And so now he knows that it's not a plane, because he was kind of like in between, like maybe it's just an airplane, and he would try to correct me a lot. So But I think it's a lot of like, like the gentleman just previously said, that it's our perception, it's how we try to paint it in our own minds, because we do have our own perception and our worldviews. So I think now he's kind of like coming to his own understanding that this could be something beyond just like just a craft that we're used to seeing, that just we're mistaking. But my kid, my 4-year-old sees it all the time. I have a video where she's like narrating it with me. She's like, it's not airplane because it doesn't have a fin. She's so cute. But she's at her very young age, she's very intuitive, and she can distinguish, which is crazy. And my other daughters are kind of over it. They don't want to talk about it anymore. It kind of freaks them out because they're everywhere. Every time we go, they see it. So, but everybody else is hush hush. In my community, they made that news come and go, and it never got talked about again. So it's like it's
Yeah.
out of sight, out of mind.
And let's get into that now too. So you were on the news, and not to bias the jury, but when I saw this, to me it kind of seemed like they were trying to get you to debunk your case. How did this come about? And then I guess I'll play the clip, and you could have me pause it whenever you want. This is NBC6 South Florida, that one.
Yeah. And just I want to just say disclaimer, like I don't want to speak any ill will against my local news station. The reporter video was wonderful. I just I know that they have a job to do, and I have seen that it's completely the same way in every other local affiliate, that they're doing the same thing. So I don't think it was like a direct thing towards me. Like I don't feel like it was like an attack towards me or anything like that, because every time I've heard other news stories about the same thing here in Florida, they do the same thing. They do what they did to me. So, but yeah, they basically directed it to being FAA approved craft. That's basically what the entire thing. After I thought that they were gonna actually show the orb, I was so excited. I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna show it. They're gonna show the live stream. They didn't show any of it. But it did have to go
Let's
through.
play it real quick then, maybe for
Yeah,
people. But
Drones in the sky. The FAA, DHS, FBI, and DoD have said that there is no national security threat, but they did confirm there have been some drones seen flying near or over military installations.
And some people in South Florida have claimed to have seen them in their own backyards. Sophia Hernandez gets to the bottom of it.
Many of you across South Florida have been sending into our newsroom videos of what look to be like drone sightings. But how can you tell that what you're seeing is really a drone? Well, we took our eyes to the skies.
It was like a flashing white green light. And we followed it, and I pulled over, and that's when I took out my camera.
This video Rebecca Davila shot on her phone in Plantation shows what she believes to be drones in the sky.
So there was no noise. We usually feel the airplanes here really loud, where we can actually kind of shakes a little bit our home sometimes because they take off from the airport. So there was no noise. It was very quiet. And also that circle of light was pulsating, and it was getting brighter. And I even took pictures, and it didn't look like a planet or a star. It looked like something very different that my eyes ever seen.
And miles away in Sweetwater, Eric Stanley saw something similar.
And then I saw all the weird colors, and I was like, this doesn't look like a drone to me. Like, it's more like a plasma ball.
Sightings of what looked to be like orbs and drones, like this spotting near the 79th Street Causeway, leaving people confused.
But what else would it be? And that's where the question is. Like, we just want to make sense of it.
The night sky is full of lights.
But the FAA wanting to clear the air as to what the different lights in the sky could signify, releasing this video explaining all aircraft, including drones, are required to have certain lights at night. Planes and helicopters typically have lights on the front of their wings, a white strobe light, and a red beacon light that flashes on their tail. The FAA says drones need to have strobe lights that are visible for at least 3 miles, fly below 400 feet, and have lights to help the drone pilot know which way it's pointing. Rebecca says what she's seen fits the bill.
Pretty close. Yeah, it was pretty close. The light was, at one point, it felt like a flashlight that was pointing, and it felt like it was pointing right at me.
Now, the big question that many residents have, as well as lawmakers, is who is operating these drones? The FAA says that there are more than 1 million registered drones in the U.S.
So yeah, that's that. Kind of, I don't know. To me, it feels like they kind of edited your thing to be like, I'm going in on the drone. So yeah, walk us through that. What was your thoughts on that when they filmed and then watching it after?
Yeah, like I said, the reporter was very nice, very, like it was completely probably somebody in the editing room that decided to take me saying it was shining right at me, and I guess they say that Rebecca agrees that it is. So somehow that became Rebecca agrees. But I understand. Like I don't really watch the news myself. I'm not a big fan of the news. I know that they have their thing, and I think they just have to carry out a perception of just I don't know. I think they weren't going to give my story credence because it would be too fantastical, I guess is what I'm saying, right? And I don't think the public would really understand anyway. So I think they just had to explain, hey, what you might be seeing might be just a regular drone or an airplane, and this is how they look like. And at
Well,
first
also
I
because
was
I
a little
think yours went super viral. I think too has to be if people don't know, like hers went probably one of the more viral of all of them I've seen during this whole thing. Because it was on
yeah.
Facebook Live, and your reactions are very like in the moment and whatnot, So I think that should be noted with this whole kind of thing. I feel like they
Yeah,
wanted to clamp down on that. So not
I
her. I'm
I
sure the lady was nice, but yeah.
yeah, I do have a sense of that. I also lost my ability to use Facebook for almost 3 weeks right after that. So I don't want to go in, it is what it is. I don't really want to go
What did
into it,
Facebook
but
tell you?
they never told me anything. Never told me anything. I just couldn't. I started a Facebook group. It was growing. It was doing great. And then all of a sudden I couldn't post. I couldn't post in any of the groups because I started. So my video went viral because I recorded it on my personal Instagram, but I posted it on like 10 different groups, including like community groups and the Jersey Drones group that was like starting, like it had just started to grow. I think it was like 2 weeks in, and that's where it went viral. And then it went viral on X because somebody took it and posted it, and that one got almost 2 million views. So apparently I contacted news. Other people were contacting the news on my behalf. So the news already knew about my video, but it needed to go through approval. So apparently, that's where I got. But it's okay. I understand because I understand where we are, and how they have to disseminate the information.
Yeah.
And
Have you had anything else weird happen because yours went so viral? Like, I mean, I'm sure I don't know if you saw, but they deleted my whole channel and stuff. I feel like because of my coverage of this and hearing that about your Facebook, it's pretty interesting. Do you feel like there's, I don't know, maybe bot farms trying to just discredit you or anything like that?
um definitely when I was posting on not really bot farms, but just the fact that I couldn't post anymore of anything on any of the groups, to me was like, okay. And that's when I started posting the live cams from Fort Lauderdale Beach, which was very telling, like the stuff that I was posting. I think that's what got me restricted. I don't know. I don't know. I slowed down a lot. I stopped posting. I just took a break. Plus I got really sick. And I said, you know what? I don't want to ruffle any feathers or anything like that. I'm I'm not trying to, be famous for my sighting or anything like that. But I did start noticing the little things here and there that I said, okay, I think if you show a little bit too much, or um there are, things that could happen. So I'm gonna just pause a little bit. But yeah.
Can you go into maybe any detail about that, or what do you mean by that?
So like I think that so the fact that it showed, first of all, that it went viral, and also that it showed, I feel like it showed the technology. I don't know if that explains itself. Like that this is not just like from what people were seeing. Again, we're gonna go into the whole again, like what I think and what people think and whatnot. But I feel like the orb to flight, that whole thing, how it was shown in my live stream, it might have been too detailed. I don't know if that explains
Oh
myself.
no, I totally agree. It was one of the best of the whole shape shifting, and because I'm working on documentary all this stuff too, so I've been like categorizing and logging
Yeah.
it, and not just that, it had one of the biggest splashes too of all the shape shifting things.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that like I hadn't done any research. It was all these words were all coming to me as I was watching it. It was very, very surreal. I didn't know what I was saying. I even said at one point, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying this as I'm recording it. And it was like these words were coming to me. And it was like all this stuff was coming to me as I was recording. I don't know if it was too explicit, it was too much. But I know that I've heard from other people that have shown similar things or things that are a little bit outside of the more mainstream sightings that people, because people kind of are recording the same things over and over, and then I guess people might get a little bored of the same thing, right? But if something comes up that's extreme, that shows that okay, it doesn't look like it's an airplane or blah blah blah, then it picks up and that it could become viral. And I think maybe there's a little bit of parameters of how things could be disseminated in a situation like what we're living in right now, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to not trying to go
Start a
viral
revolution
again.
or anything.
Yeah, I'm not trying. That was never my intention. What's crazy? The reason why I did the live stream is because nobody was believing me. Nobody was believing me. Everybody thought I was crazy. So I was like, maybe if I record it live, people will believe me, because I posted it on my local community group, and they started laughing at me, calling me tinfoil, that I was crazy. And I'm like, okay, maybe if I live stream and I post it on the group so they could see it, they'll see that this is really happening in our community. Because I had contacted the cops, I contacted the mayor, I contacted everyone, and nobody was paying any attention to me.
Good for you. Is there anything else you want to add to your timeline of events here, testimony of everything? Yeah, and to what you're saying too, that orb video over Piccadilly Arsenal is what got me kind of screwed with this whole recent thing. But yeah, Becki, any closing thoughts? Then we'll just kind of probably have some open general discussion. If anyone else has any thoughts, they want to come up here, speak on the orbs at all, or the drones, anything at all, please do. But yeah, Becki, close us out with your perspective on things.
No, I just think that this is a really fun and incredible time to be alive, to be able to see all of these amazing things. And, we're just all in this ride together. And I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk.
So how many orbs have you think
Thank
you've seen over the years?
Oh, you talking to me?
Yeah, she went over that kind of, but why? What are you trying to get to?
Am I rugging out here?
Yeah, let's cycle you and let's go to Ivan.
Hey, everybody. Nice to chat with you all. Thanks for asking me to I guess, come into the conversation for a minute. And I do listen to a lot of spaces, but I am super busy. By the way, 60% of my company, I'm a general counsel for a staffing company, and 60% of it is in LA. So that's been fun over the last couple
Oh,
of
that
years.
sucks. Prayers for you guys.
Yeah. All our people, and it's them and their family members and the businesses that have been lost, and just the tragedy of it all. But what can we do? Listen, as far as drones, people have sent me videos of of drones, and I apologize. I guess Sean Silverman, he's like a bar prep guy. I don't know. He's an attorney, but he works, I think, in bar prep. But anyway, he sent me a ton of videos that are very perplexing, right? But one of the things about it, and I know this may be a controversial take, and I've said this before in different contexts, but it's like, and I love seeing these videos of drones because they're equally perplexing to me. Trust me. I mean, I don't know what these are, and they're everywhere. But I almost get frustrated because of a couple of things. And maybe I'm totally, I may be ignorant. There are many things I am admittedly ignorant about. So I don't pretend I have knowledge of all things. But, and I speak only for myself as ever, a lot of people know me as Lou's lawyer. That remains true. And trust me, I work all the time at that.
It's Lou Elizondo for everyone who might not know. But yeah, Lou
Yeah,
Elizondo's lawyer.
my apologies. Lou
No,
Elizondo.
not
Lou reviews.
Not Lou reviews.
Probably not Lou reviews, but that's okay. I accept the heat. It's fine. But I have a number of different questions, and I've gotten all these videos, and people are taking videos, and we should continue to do so. But a couple of things that I'm absolutely ignorant of, and first of all, one is, and this is a general statement, if my personal opinion, maybe speaking towards ufology as a whole, because if you follow my Twitter, I'm fairly abstract most of the time when I'm not pissed, which is a lot of the time, which is why I don't say much. But we're always trying to prove more. And I feel, as a lawyer, you have certain, there's a tendency for us as individuals or even as lawyers to want to prove our case to the nth degree. And at some point, one of the practices in law, one of the advice people give you, and I'm actually a plaintiff's guy, even though I work for a company which puts me on the defense side most of the time. So I have both sides of the fence. But one of the rules of good plaintiffs is you got to know when to stop. You got to know when to stop trying to prove your case, because at some point, people begin to think, well, maybe you don't have a case. And it's almost as if with every new video, people get inoculated or inured or just accustomed, whatever word you want to use, to seeing these things, which is fine. I mean, if we're all used to it, great. I don't know what these things are, but it is incredibly frustrating to me that we're continually sort of having to prove ourselves. And I welcome all these people showing videos. We need more, but it is also equally frustrating that what quantum of evidence do you want to see, people? I mean, where is, what is enough in all of this stuff to start taking action? And what also drives me bananas, and I don't know the answer to this, but for all the drone sightings that have been out there, has anybody gone up in a helicopter? I know they're expensive. I don't know a pilot who flies helicopters, but I'm sure I could find one. By the way, there's police helicopters, news helicopters, there's helicopters for sightseeing. There seems to be a police helicopter every time there's a
Ivan, it's
high-speed
done.
chase.
You, Red Panda, me, New Jersey, New York City live stream. Let's fucking do it. Let's do it.
Sure. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't even know I know what a live stream is, but
no, I mean, like, I don't have the cash for a helicopter, but if you can find a couple pennies between the couch cushions, let's do it.
Listen, let's find out what the price is of a helicopter. Somebody find a pilot. Let's make sure that we're there in the present time. One of the things I've heard is that there's like flight restrictions, which, by the way, and I mean, Lou never curses. He doesn't curse in private. What you see on television is the guy he is. I curse a lot. I'm going to restrain myself for how frustrated I am. But if anybody can find, pardon me, what?
Please don't restrain the cursing. Like let the F-bombs flow. It's the end of the world.
Nope.
Now's the time to curse.
No. I can't. I have to keep it G-rated. Or PG-13 or whatever it is. I get it, guys, but I have to be a little bit diplomatic. I can't I can't have my insanity attributed to Lou improperly. But and again, I speak only for myself, and I'm not trying to represent his point of view, and that's a bit frustrating because I understand people want to find that connection. But trust me, I can certainly say that everybody is frustrated. Everybody wants to resolve this problem. But the thing is that we've got to do something concrete. And every time I've asked people, I'm like, has anybody ever taken a helicopter? And I heard there was a police helicopter in New Jersey, which apparently chose not to follow it, which is I don't know what to make of that, right?
I think they were afraid they were going to hit it or something like that. They didn't know.
Sorry, who gives a shit? Go put me in a helicopter. Give me a good cameraman with an excellent camera, low light camera. Let's get a spotlight on it. I don't know. We'll buy those damn those yellow flashlights they sell at Home Depot, and we'll get right next to it and find out what these things are. This is insanity. I mean, think about how many times you have seen our government, and I mean, I used to live in Phoenix. There are always helicopters over Phoenix. I don't know why. In San Francisco, there's no helicopters, but there's also barely any police, so it kind of makes sense. But there were helicopters all the time. And I mean, you used to see Blackhawks. I used to see police helicopters, news helicopters. Where's the news helicopters? Where are them? Where are those guys saying, "Gee, there's drones. I wonder how we could get up there to see them." Oh, we have a helicopter that reports on the news, like chases or traffic. And we can't get next to these drones. What is going on? And the continual denial of this stuff. I mean, we're almost having to prove our case, and it was in the major media, which is thankful, right? Glad it makes it. But there's something going on which is extremely strange. I did a search the other day just on Google. So I was looking for that guy. What's his name? Matthew Livelsberger. I'm sorry.
Livelsberger.
Yeah, the truck bomb. I was looking for his manifesto. It was not easy to find on Google. I mean, it wasn't probably impossible, but I gave up pretty quick because I was busy. But I wanted to see specifically what he said, right? And he was like, "Well, where is it? It wasn't easy to find on Google." Okay, I don't know what is going on. Then I see, Zuckerberg talk about, "Whoa, we're going to move. We're going to stop censoring." It's like, well, congratulations. I'm glad. Welcome to the club. But this is insanity. And all I can promise you is, to the extent that I can represent anything from Lou, he is 100,000% committing to resolving this. I'll just say that and leave it at that. I will say, for my part, I'm very curious about, to the extent that these are drones of a conventional sort, right? Of a common sort, maybe some, sure, but others, I don't know. They certainly seem to be strange. We have no idea what their intent is. It doesn't mean it's hostile, but I mean, well, then what is it? I mean, if you're going to say, it's not a hostile thing, okay, cool. Well, what is it then? Oh, we have no idea. So, and then the statements by the government, from what I've seen, and I apologize, I am frequently ignorant of things because I'm, tied in 1,000 knots. But the government saying, well, these are lawful drones. They, have the lights on them. There's not, that doesn't answer the damn question, right? That is no answer. That's an idiotic answer. Whoever says that sort of stuff, honestly, should be slapped in the face. This is absolute insanity. We need to get control of our skies. These are appearing not only in the United States, but abroad. I don't know who's doing them. There's allegations they're Chinese. There's allegations they're, ours. But how many of them, I'm very curious about their origin, what they are, even if they're all conventional drones, which they are very peculiar, the way they light up, the way some, I understand there's different kinds, some which are very bright. I've seen these videos where some appear to be more orbs and others appear to be more conventional drones. Some appear to have some sound, some appear don't. But whatever is going on here, we must get to the bottom of this. I mean, the dynamic is changing. One of the things I believe Lou has said, and I'll repeat, is that some of the capabilities of drones appears to be merging with, the 5, or as you might think, 6 observables. Hypersonic velocity. Granted, we haven't seen that for the most part. I do recall seeing something off of Oregon where a pilots were describing things that were extraordinarily fast. Obviously, probably hypersonic for sure. But these drones, most of them don't move in that way. Nevertheless, what are they? Why can't we get a helicopter up to see them? Is it true that there's flight restrictions which actually prohibit you from flying, within, 100 feet of them? Why are they there? None of this makes sense. And we are not getting good answers from government. We are not getting good answers from the media. And the sort of, I don't know what to describe it. It's like a narcotic effect where people just say, yeah, I mean, you can't almost get people to pay attention. This dovetails into the biggest problem. And I'm sorry for being a soapbox here, because I'll get off in a minute, but it drives me to the point of madness where people don't realize, you're seeing these drones, you're hearing legitimate testimony. We've all seen, videos on Twitter, and most of them are real. I mean, I'm sure there might be a few which are constructed, but I mean, I don't think everybody is throwing up a constructed, some construct, some AI nonsense. These are real. So having proven our point that these are real, right? Why aren't we investigating? What do we need to do to figure this out? I don't know whether they're hostile or not, but for sure, I'm extraordinarily curious. We've got to get to the bottom of this. It's nonsense. And, and that's where I stand on it. And, if you all want to rent it, if we can get to a helicopter, I don't know what they cost. I mean, it might cost $1,000 or, for an hour flight time, an hour and a half to get up there and chase one of these things. But it would make, I mean, as long as we can own the footage, maybe we'll make $1 million on chasing one of these drones. I'm just absolutely flabbergasted. And what I meant to say, I lost my train of thought for a second because it's late and I'm exhausted, but is this. Hope I don't lose it again. We need to shoot. I did lose it. I am sorry.
I think you're saying, like, how much evidence is enough? And really, if all it takes is renting a helicopter,
damn helicopter. I'm sorry.
Right?
Let me repeat. Let me say my point. The same point, the same ignorance, the same lack of curiosity, the same, and when I say ignorance, I don't always mean it in a negative context, because you can be ignorant about things you just don't know about, right? Like, I don't know what the weather is in China right now. I'd have to go look it up. I'm ignorant of that. Doesn't mean I'm an idiot. I might be, but it doesn't mean it. But here's the thing. This writ broadly, right, is exactly the problem in Congress. And I'm not blaming Congress. I'm just saying that they don't know what is happening. This whole ufology community, for whatever reason, has not been successful in at least, until recent times, and not fully so, in impressing upon the need of the Congress to, individual Congress people. You'll literally ask them, what new UAP is? They say, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. And they're not lying to you. They can't all be lying. They're just, they give you the blank look. So something is insane where people are literally looking up in the skies and saying, yeah, there's drones. And I asked that guy, Sean, very nice guy. I said, hey, did you ever talk to your neighbors about this? Like, what do your neighbors say? I mean, you're in a, kind of a part of South Florida is pretty populated. Like, what are they saying? And he's like, they don't really seem to notice them. And I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, I'm not looking up. There could be a drone right now above my head, but I'm inside. But I mean, the point is, if somebody told me, hey, there's drones up in the air and they're at night, and there's plenty, you'll see them if you look up, I would probably be like, okay, let's check it out. And then I would notice them unless I was blind, right? And then I would say, well, what the hell is going on? And then I'd go, eventually I'd get a bunch of friends together and we'd go up in a helicopter and chase the damn thing around if we could. And but that same almost determinative ignorance, that purposeful avoidance of whatever might be. I don't know if it's fear driven. I don't know if it's just an abject lack of curiosity. I don't know if they're just looking at, have a good hamburger that night, like they don't care. But this is what's going on. This is our key problem. It isn't even a conspiracy, although I am very, I'm not going to say it's not a conspiracy is the problem, but what I am going to say is it's almost like you're around people who should know better, right? And this is a struggle I'm having, honestly, because, I'm the head of the litigation network of the Association of Corporate Counsel. It's the largest network of corporate counsel in the world. And, and they're actually interested, but it took so much effort to persuade people to be curious about this topic as a whole. So I don't even know what to do. They're in the sky and people are like, okay, that's cool. Let's go on. Let's go have a hamburger. What's going on? What's going on in sports? What's going on? And, and it's like, are you all absolutely lost your mind? So sorry for expressing my own frustration, but I am, this is a topic that I'm curious about. Anybody wants to show me videos, don't overwhelm me with a million of them, but find the best one. You can DM me. I'll look at it. I can, obviously I bring to people's attention from time to time, but this is a critical issue. And it just shows how sadly, abjectly incurious we are. We need to rally together and we need to, stop, investigate things and stop the censorship of all kinds, whether it's media, not, AI or something suppressing people looking at these things or getting deplatformed, whether it's for some reason, nobody grabbing a helicopter and going out there and saying, yeah, I'm going to chase the thing. I mean, look, I don't even care. Even if we break the law, I'm sorry, I shouldn't probably say that, but
I love this. This is my favorite lawyer.
Ivan,
do I hear yes? If Red Panda and we find a pilot, you'll assuming we can traverse the airspace somewhat legally, you're down?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm absolutely down.
God.
I will not. I mean,
I prefer a plane, something that could glide down if it disables all of our electronics.
Yeah, you're right. Because if it disables our land, I was actually thinking about that. I'm like, man, I don't want to be in a helicopter when it, maybe we have to get one of those, I got a long story about the one time I did a tandem parachute, paragliding jump off of South Mountain in Phoenix, which resulted in a crash landing. But that's another story for another day. I have a lot of crazy stories, but believe me, yeah, we don't want to be in a helicopter if the power goes out, right? I agree with you on that. So if it's a light plane, fine, but we have to be slow enough, or an ultralight, right? Like one of those little ultralights. Those things, that would be the perfect vehicle. Now that I think about it, right? I love ultra. I always wanted to fly one of those things, never got it, but something that would, if somehow it turns off the electronics, at least we can hopefully glide our way down and not perish for our curiosity. But this is absolutely nuts. And if we can find really a place where they're being cited, and if there's no FAA restriction, because if there is some sort of weird restrictions and you can't get next to those things, that in itself is the evidence. I don't even need any more videos. Something is going on. So I'm sorry. I've been very curious about this. I have, I've received plenty of contact about this and many other topics, which are extraordinarily, some of them very disturbing. And I'm hoping to navigate some of those soon. Okay. I'll just leave it at that. No promises, there's a certain amount of vetting I got to do to figure things out. And I'm just, even though I have a bunch of lawyers who work with me, we're busy. Okay. But ultimately this is a big issue. So I'm sorry. I've taken all your time a lot.
Yeah, no, thank you, Ivan. Great stuff, man. And yeah, me and Lou have our history, but I think he's been killing it on this drone front.
Well, look, everybody, listen, all I can say to you is this: one day, not now, but one day you will know the true story. And when you know that story, I think all of you who have been anti-Lou will have a very different perspective based upon facts and evidence. But I cannot engage that now. This is not the point of it.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, this is
But I respect everybody with any, you have your critiques. It's fine. Fair enough. I get it. But this drone issue is up in the sky. It shouldn't prevent us from finding something to go, not another drone, which somehow just can't get up and can't get close and doesn't turn on and whatever the crap is going on. We need something that we can fly next to one of these things with a big old spotlight. I don't care if we have to hang off the side of the helicopter, like,
Oh, we
Vietnam
need that
style.
shot with you hanging off the side of the helicopter. Ivan, Red
Dude,
Pan-
as
Red
long as
Panda,
I
do
got
you
a
have
strap, as long as I got it strapped in, I'm a little scared. I'm
With Fred
intermittently.
Rogers on 5x5 News. No, Ivan, thank you for your input. I always love hearing from you and reading your posts. So yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate all of you. And listen, I'm going to keep listening, but I got to go back to all the chaos of law. But just keep doing your thing. But this is something, if we can really figure out where they are presenting themselves, and if we can get some mechanism getting close. I don't know exactly what the best one. I am concerned a little bit about helicopter, just because all of a sudden the power goes out, you're all dead, and me too, especially. But if we can get something that gets us close enough to these things to actually take real video, not the grainy footage, not just of the lights, but of whatever the actual object is, because I've not seen really clear stuff that satisfies me. I mean, that makes me recognize and say that's definitely X. Or maybe I just don't know what they are, but we got to figure it out. So thanks very much, everybody, and appreciate the time.
Ivan, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll rent one of those 8K cameras from the Matrix. Panda, do we have like a clapping sound to seal the deal? Because we got a commitment right now from Ivan. Thank you. That's it. Unless you hear the clapping
Gamer's
sound
always
here,
on it.
Legally,
What'd you say?
it's not legit. Thank you so
Gamer
much,
coin.
Ivan, man.
I don't care. What is somebody going to do? What are they going to say? Oh, we're putting you in jail because you went up to film a drone, and then we actually have video of whatever the hell the thing is. It's like, great. Okay, whatever. Yeah, send me to jail for that. Fine. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
That's nonsense. Okay.
All right.
Listen, everybody have a very good night. I got to roll.
Good night, Ivan. I'm going to play
Thanks,
that
Ivan.
Trump clip again, and then we're going to get to some of these other hands. But yeah,
Okay, take care of
thanks,
yourself. Bye-bye.
I'm going to give you a report.
So again, this is Trump just hours ago at Mar-a-Lago at a roundtable dinner with a bunch of governors.
On drone. I'm going to give you a report on drones about one day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones. And it's not only with me. Glenn was telling me today that in Virginia they have drones all over the place too, and nobody's reporting it. I don't know why they're not. Do you want to say something about that?
Just one quick comment, which is we are home to the largest naval base in the world in Quantico, and we house a lot of the SEAL teams and have a huge national security infrastructure. And now for 2 years running, we have had drone incursion over secure airspace, and we still don't know why. And I think that's absolutely unacceptable. I think President Trump and the new leadership coming in, I think, will work diligently to understand who's behind this and what we do in order to stop the digital surveillance of all of our secure infrastructure.
Well, I can tell you this. While we were dealing with a terrorist attack in New Orleans, we had drones being flown over our nuclear reactors in Louisiana. And we brought that attention to the FAA. We've been asking the FAA to give these states the ability to mitigate these drones, and it's sitting on some bureaucrat's desk. And that's real.
Nobody knows. They don't want to talk about it. Go ahead, Governor. You're going to say?
I was just going to say we have drones in Wyoming flying over our infrastructure as well. And it's incredibly frustrating that we not only have no way of knowing what it is, but nobody knows how to deal with them.
They don't want to talk about it, and nobody knows why. They don't want to talk about it. That could be us sending drones. I hope that's the case. Us doing it and doing research, and maybe they don't want to talk about it from that standpoint. I hope it's not an enemy, but we're going to find out on the 21st, the day after. You have to give me a little time for the inauguration, but shortly thereafter, we'll give you a report on it. We'll tell you exactly what it is. They know, and it's very strange that they aren't talking about it. I'm going to.
All right. Jay Justin. Yeah, if anyone else wants to hop up here, Becki, you're more than welcome to stay, or if you got to go down, I know you're East Coast. I'm probably going to do this for maybe about 30 more minutes or so, just general drone talk. Jay Just, what's up?
Yeah, I was going to say Trump said he was going to look into the drones, but doesn't he get a briefing Does he not get briefed as
Yeah, he
incoming
does.
president?
The exact
Was
same briefing as Biden, yeah.
right. So when they would if Biden knows, just unless they don't tell him.
Well, yeah, and I don't think I have the clip, but Biden last time was like, he was just going in on the hysteria thing, downplaying it all. So yeah, we have the two different messages coming out.
So another thing is we've seen video of helicopters going up after these things, and I don't think that they can catch up to them. Is that true?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say when I was talking about that a bit earlier. But yeah, there's reports of them going dark, they say, and then they don't know where they go.
Yeah,
And
they
there's actually
cloak.
that's been captured on video like twice.
They cloak. They have cloaking abilities. I saw a report from someone on here that it came right up to their window or something, and it cloaked, which is interesting because in that Hal Puthoff video, they're talking about cloaking. You know, basically we have that too. So that's interesting.
Yeah, what do you think it is, Jay? Just
I think whatever it is, it's at least AI for sure. It's AI based. I think it's AI drones gone rogue.
that's interesting. That is what one of the there was this like 4chan post that people were posting like 2 days ago that was saying that maybe.
Oh,
That's a
really?
hot take, but I like it. I'm going to post information in the thread about social physical sensing. So it's a sensor that uses social cues, so the things we say online, and then it taps into local physical sensors to compare the information. So if you're like, oh my God, there's an earthquake happening online, they might tap into any sensor they want, depending on the security clearance of that program, to figure out if that event is actually taking place there. And then it could be vice versa too. Say there's an earthquake, the sensors pick it up. They then go online to see how many people have been affected, and this could be all animated or automated. You know what I mean? So it could be entirely AI at this point, for all we know. Like, imagine if it was like it was like thinking, or I don't know what they call it, and it decided it didn't want to take part in war, and they were like first designated as war drones. Then it's like, no. And that's why they're buzzing the nuclear sites because it's like anti-human and they're anti-war.
My
When
fear is
you
that they're stewards of the earth and they know that some nukes are going to go off in certain parts of the country and they're doing some like pre-nature reserve maintenance or some shit.
So is that NHI, you mean? Like Chris
Yeah.
Bledsoe's NHI.
Yeah, but they just kind of view us like any other animal on the earth and just kind of doing their own little task that they got to do.
So they were like left here to like make sure that nothing bad happens. The natives don't like set the firecrackers off.
Yeah,
To
you know who
count the
has good
bodies, to count the bodies and make sure we don't all die so they can continue their genetic testing.
Patrick Jackson's stuff is pretty interesting, and it kind of lines up with this other 4chan post, which basically just says that there's this kind of like AI network of UFOs that like is here left by someone that just kind of monitors stuff and like make sure we don't all die.
But how come they look so much like our drones? Like, are they cloaking themselves to look like our drones to fit in? Like, how do they get, if they are, then how do they know what to make themselves look like? Or are they like old tech that's catching up to, or, like, we're catching up to that tech?
Yeah, I don't know, all speculation, but I don't know. Maybe they've been mimicking stuff like the whole time, right? Like airships and whatnot. Doomer Daddy, what are the drones?
Oh, I wanted to ask Becki a question about, do you have any sense that people who witnessed the drones or the orbs, that they were psychologically affected? Have you noticed people becoming more emotionally, let's just say, unstable in response to these drones?
I don't know about emotionally unstable, but at least really interested in either researching them, documenting them more. Um, borderlining like obsessing over it a little bit, but I don't think it's like affecting the mental health or anything like that. I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, and I don't want to hog the space. That's basically my main question. My theory about these
No,
drones
hog the
is
space now. This is the hog the space part of space.
but my theory about the drones, and I'm not married to this theory, is that they are exactly the thing Ivan talked about. You know, why is it? How many? You know, everybody should have a number in their head. The number in their head should be how many drones or how many orbs before you say like, okay, I think there's NHI here, right? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 100? Is it 500? How many drones do you need to see? And I feel like the orbs, I think a lot of the drones are orbs, but I'm willing, you know, I'm not discounting what you're saying, Becki. Like you might be right and I might be wrong here, but everybody should have a number in their head of anomalous aircraft before they're like, all right, yeah, I guess this is real. And it seems like the orbs are able to push this number to a ridiculously high degree, and I think they're trying to make us more suggestible to not recognize them for what they are. But that's just my current theory, and I think some of this effect is an inducement of a prodromal psychosis, something pre-psychotic, where people, not everybody, but a lot of people are becoming more emotional. And I wonder whether it's like a warfare tactic. But that's just, you know, me and my doomeristic thoughts.
Yeah, I'll just jump in here real quick in response to that because, funny enough, they're flying over as this space is going on here in Tucson, and it's like clockwork. But you specifically asked, and I won't go into any of my personal beliefs or anything. Has it had an emotional effect on you? I'm 39 years old. This has been going on for 3 months. I am physically fit. I'm 6'3". I'm healthy. Uh, Suddenly, my blood pressure will not go below 150 over 100. I've been in the ER twice in the last 3 weeks over it. I've had to do CT scans because it's gone so high that they were worried about stroke damage. They could not find any cause, so the doctors basically say, "Oh, it's psychological." And yeah, it is psychological. When you have things flying over you all the time, it messes with your head. So I just wanted to quickly answer from that perspective.
Mess with my head, dude. Some of these videos I've seen, if this was happening all the time outside my house, I'd be like, whoa.
Becki, are you willing to help us find locations for this helicopter when Ivan Hanel, the lawyer of Lou Elizondo, is hanging from the the rail of a helicopter? Can you help us find some places to film?
Miami.
We're gonna do the
Okay,
whole
sure.
tour. We're gonna go Ivan Hanel on a helicopter in every state.
It's going to be like the Real Housewives. Yeah, it's going to be drone hunting in New Jersey, drone hunting in NYC, and then drone hunting in Miami.
Yeah, there you go.
CRB, you hopped up here. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Cool. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like, in terms of the morphing stuff, one thought I had is that, like, if you think about how we can work with AI right now and sort of, like, type into a like Stable Diffusion or something and say, give me like 10 pictures of a drone or an airplane or whatever, and you kind of get like you kind of get like a wonky sort of variety that's like almost there, but they're like a little bit funky. And I feel like a lot of the videos and pictures I've been seeing online of the ones in the sky like are sort of like that. And then kind of one thought I had is that it might be like we hear about like the airship flap and like different times that they sort of mimic things, and like how we're taking stuff for Stable Diffusion, like basically from the whole internet and like human culture, like perhaps what's going on is they're sort of taking it from human consciousness and like the subconscious and whatever we sort of expect, and that's going into their sort of creation of like whatever they look like. And then the second thought I had is that, I feel like we're from a lot of different angles, we're kind of realizing that like matter and like subject and object are pretty indivisible, and like consciousness might be very fundamental to everything. And so I think questions about like whether something is AI or like organic consciousness is also kind of gonna like go out the window. Like I feel like everything is intelligent and like intelligence is intelligent. So I feel like you can also go in a lot of rabbit holes, like trying to figure out like what's artificial and what's not. Especially when you're talking about civilizations that are like possibly millions of years into the future. Um, and yeah, I feel like I had one other thought. Oh yeah, and then I was just thinking like in terms of what their intent is, like one way you could look at it is like like what are you guys doing right now? You know, like what are we doing? Uh and like what's like what are people thinking, what's going on, and we're sort of seeing it in this chat. So maybe the easy answer is like that's their intent, you know?
Yeah,
That's
they
all I
want
got.
the space to go. All right, thank you, CRB, Ricky Lou, and then Tim T. Ricky Lou, you saw the Goodyear blimp yesterday.
Yeah, I thought it was a drone. It turned out it was the Goodyear blimp. But I'm 3'3", 475 pounds. I'm not healthy, but I haven't felt better. I live by the airport. I've been looking for these goddamn drones. I can't tell them apart from the airplanes above, and apparently also the Goodyear blimp I mistook for a drone.
How's the smoke, by the way? God bless you.
It's I'm fine, so I can't complain about anything. And I did just buy one of them air filter things from Costco last weekend. I'm purifying my air inside, so I'm very thankful for that.
Why did you buy it last week?
Um, that's a good question. Why did I? Why would I buy an air filter? Because the house is musty. All right, I live in a shack, and it's musty, and I bought it. It just happened to be very fortunate that I now have it.
We're on to you. We know it.
I know what you're. I resent the implication.
Real convenient that you had an air smoke purifier the week before this.
It's not
No,
a
but did you see
smoke purifier. It's just
Have
an
you seen
air
the
purifier.
You
Ricky
hang out
Lou?
with Lou Elizondo, don't you?
Have you seen the
Sometimes.
UFOs? Any of the UFO and the fire videos?
I have seen them. I don't know what to think of those. I think we're allowed to ask. I did see Lou Reviews, my counterpart in crime here, who also bought a smoke air filter last weekend as well.
Did he
I
really?
saw him. No,
Oh
but
wow.
but you can imagine if he did. But I did see those videos, and I saw that he like got mad that people were asking what they were. It's like, dude, chill out. People are allowed to ask questions about stuff. I don't really get it.
You're literally just asking, what is that?
That's what it was. It's like you're taking this and using it for your own benefit. It's like, dude, he just said, what is that?
Tim T.
Panda, did you lose your YouTube channel? What happened?
Oh yeah. Hopefully I can maybe talk to someone on the phone, but if not, we're just doing it all on Twitter and Rumble. So I got hit with that one bullshit well, I already had one from Linda Moulton Howe, which was like, I feel like she could have not done that. Because there's all these options, somebody could either ask you to remove it, remove monetization, get the monetization for themselves, split monetization, or remove it and give you a strike. And if you get 3 strikes in a certain amount of time, this happens. But so then the second one was when bullshit started, and this was that TTAL video, orb UFO found in the rain above Picatinny Arsenal. This is the same guy who claims he was visited by the FBI the day after Viral Hog, this random company that he says he has no connection to. There's already like a subgroup of people who think this TTAL guy is totally lying. As far as I can tell, he seems honest. But yeah, because that same company, Viral Hog, claimed it on mine because I did one of these interviews, right? Posted it up and whatnot. I disputed it, even though, like, again, TTAL said he has no connection to that company or knows why they claimed it. And no, wait, did I say this? But they claimed it on social media, like everywhere, the day before the FBI allegedly visited him and questioned him about the orb. And I was able to confirm he does live like 5 to 9 miles near Picatinny Arsenal in New Jersey, which is like where a lot of this stuff is happening. So I mean, but like I said, there's already like a little bit of a debate about is TTAL legit. I definitely know Viral Hog is sketch, and I looked into them, and they're super sketch. And TTL has been nothing but nice and cooperative. And then this other one was a video of Michael Schellenberger on Fox News talking about the drones, and this random account named Hanson Wen. And this is an interesting thing too. This one happened like within 24 hours of the previous one. Claimed that, and then they claimed it as ASMR funny cartoons, which I just thought was bullshit. And I thought YouTube would just be like, okay, this is clearly bullshit, but they didn't. Even though I like did a little whatever rebuttal to both of them. But yeah, it's like clearly not an ASMR cartoon video. Uh, Everyone and their mom uses Fox News clips and their things. I've been using Fox News clips and videos since like 2018. And whoever this Hanson Win guy definitely doesn't own the Schellenberger clip. And like I said, it's not a cartoon thing. So yeah, kind of bullshit. But yeah, what are you gonna do?
I was just kind of being sarcastic because I know you've been posting about it, and I just was thinking you get.
Oh, sorry.
So I just wanted to hear you keep going. But did you see that Ivan just posted? He said he like challenged these drones to a MMA match at a gym somewhere in Washington D.C.
Did he really, or is that a joke?
Yeah, that's a joke.
Figured out.
But that was pretty cool that he came in the space. He seemed pretty laid back, and honestly, he's been saying the same thing that we've kind of talked about with those streams we were doing on YouTube. That he would host is like, get up in a fucking helicopter and look like, and I love that he was like talking about specifically that those helicopters that backed off from the police, like him as a lawyer, what he should do is try to reach out to them and figure out exactly what did they see. You know, I mean, like, why doesn't he should just kind of like leverage that a little bit. And I know he'll say he's like a busy lawyer and whatnot, but I mean, like, try to get something on the record from those guys and like figure out like what did they see, like what did it look like, why did they pull away from it, or and then the other thing too, it's like reach out to those coast guards. Like if I was him, that's what I would try to be, pulling my lawyer card and trying to get information about all that.
Yeah, yeah, man. Ivan's been cool. Shouts out Ivan.
Yeah, maybe he'll hook you up with Lou Elizondo.
Maybe Lou will be on this trip, Doomer Daddy, in the helicopter. Maybe we'll get you know how he has that classic B-roll clip when he was on Unidentified, and it's like him suiting up in the snorkel gear.
Snorkel gear.
Maybe we could get a snorkel shot with Lou off the Jersey Shore. That'd be kind of epic.
You have to tell us how tall you really think he is.
He's tall at heart. Mikey, welcome to the panel at News Worldwide. I'm just kind of doing that to troll. But Mikey, what are your thoughts on everything? Where are you at
Sorry,
with the drones?
I was making a post, you guys. Yeah, I'm sorry, but we can't like defer to the Coast Guard or the FBI or anymore. Like, I want Ivan Handel. I will allow Lou to join. Do you think it's okay if Lou joins this Rip Panda on this helicopter trip?
I think
Like,
it's epic. I think we have to do helicopter and we have to do snorkel at night off the coast.
Yeah, sorry to jump in late, but I didn't want you to think it was.
So we have B-roll of
aggressive.
us suiting up in snorkel gear with Lou.
We seriously need to make this happen. Everybody like retweet Ivan's post. But yeah, it's time we get into a fucking helicopter.
You cut me off, Big Daddy. You cut me off, Big Daddy.
I'm so sorry, Big Daddy. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Mikey,
Go
what
ahead,
is your take on the drones, brother?
Well, I don't know exactly what they are. I know that part of me thinks that they could be Anunnaki, but I don't know. I really don't know. I'm in the same boat as many of you are. I think there's something very nefarious about them.
Did you buy an air purifier last week?
No.
Thank you, Mikey, for that. We're all pretty much in the same boat. We don't know. Anunnaki's on the table. I'll just say that. Why not? So is China. News Worldwide. What are your thoughts, sir?
About the drones.
Yes.
I think some of it's ours. I think we got another alien group of drones that's monitoring them. It's just pure speculation. There's some other factors I'm looking at too. Kind of weird that your channel got deleted right after you posted some stuff on the drone stuff. So that seems to be going on a lot.
And Becki here, did you hear her? She said Facebook randomly prevented her from recording or filming or doing anything for a few weeks after her stuff went viral.
That's really suspect. I think we need to contact our congressman and start raising some shit about that and say, hey, your intelligence agencies need to get off our ass.
Yeah, that's definitely a sub thing I need to start tracking because that's happened. There was also another channel. I don't know if you remember. Wasn't there a channel that got nixed or something out in the UK when that first started going on? Some guy was like live streaming that, and then like it got deleted. Yeah, I need to keep a better tally of that. I need
There's
to
been so many. I have seen over the years over
over the
300.
years, yeah, but specifically about this current drone thing. But yeah, over the years, there's been 9/11 stuff is just gone, and yeah.
My site got pulled down. Yeah, thousands. So we got to get vigilant and go more aggressive on it, and really actually contact our congressman and say, hey, if you guys aren't really interested in drone stuff, then how come I can't post videos on it like getting a strike? And who's doing it? And put some fire on those guys.
I agree. I agree with you. I know they'll get to the bottom of it because they work for the people, right?
If there's nothing there, they shouldn't care, And if
Oh
there is,
shit.
know about it. That should be public, So I was following your drone stuff over a couple months, and I saw the one where it morphed into a plane. And of course, I'm going to say it's CG because you can't really tell. And so I'm like, okay. Then when you got deleted, it's like, oh wow, you're over the target. So absolutely, yeah, you're over some target. Spread out. Don't just go to one video site that's outside of YouTube. Go to all of them.
Catch me on Rumble and Odyssey, y'all.
Yeah, go to Odyssey, go to everything you can think of. And then change your nick. Just make another nick that's like put a number on it, like another one, and do another backup channel. So just make it so irritating. If it's but you got one guy, it's like, I don't like you. I'm gonna
Well, the thought is here, right? Like, sure, maybe it's just a coincidence that these two random copyright strikes happen that are like both sketchy. But it obviously, right, that we're all
yeah, it's
conspiracy
just
theorists. It could be third party for government, or it could be third party for China, right? What if China is
yeah.
using these like means to like censor, Because like, yeah, a lot of people have been talking about the drones, but like, I've been talking about the fucking mist and shit like that. Not everyone's talking about the mist, you know what I mean? And like, not everyone's talking about some of the like more gnarly shit going on here. Uh, I don't think anyone's interviewed as many
You got the
witnesses.
spray stuff that's going on. You got people getting sick. This stuff needs to be tracked. And it seems like everything that's been pulled down has something to do with the mist, the mysterious mist or fog. Yeah, that's an interesting element right there that needs to be really looked at. And part of the thing about doing news is that sometimes you can, well, I've done it. You'll throw some speculation out there and see if the intelligence agencies actually bite on it. And when they do, it's like, oh, we got them. So, and this is forcing their hand right now. I did it with the moon landing. I got contact saying, shut up about the moon landing. And it's like, oh, really? So you're confirming that it didn't happen? No, that's not true. It's like, it is. So anyway,
Yeah, if anyone in the audience could think of any other instances of censorship, because we already got through right here. That's already kind of a little compelling batch there. But I know there's more. Let me know. Shoot me the DM. Definitely
do a
need to
video
start
on it.
tracking this stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Do a video on it, and then roll it out to your congressman. That's another thing that all of you guys that produce stuff on related to UFOs, if you would just email your congressman every time you do an upload, somebody's going to see it. And when there's enough videos that back up what you're talking about, you're going to get traction. They need. You have no idea. When I talk,
I gotta respond to that because I don't think I'm the only one here I've contacted my mayor, my city council, the police department multiple times, my governor. I've been ignored for months.
I think
They
Becki
take,
said the same thing too.
yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So Becki, if you want to say something, but I just wanted to quickly say, responding to local government is getting me nowhere. And I'm not, when your blood pressure is at 150, you're pretty aggressive.
it all depends on how you respond to it and how you say it. When I go in there from a news perspective, I mean, it's more like a oh shit kind of thing on their end. But I'm a little different than you guys because it's like I had
Well, I mean, when I deal with officials and local government, I work, I pay taxes, and I have children. I present myself just as that. I leave all the woo stuff to the side. A lot of people just aren't ready for a lot of what is happening, and I get it. And I am very, very formal. I present pictures and evidence. The only person that's actually looked at any pictures was a council ward member. And after looking at the pictures, they said that they would pass them on to the appropriate whatever. And since then, they've ignored me. And that was my Ward 2 council member. So, it's not like I'm walking in there like some crazy person. I walk in there well dressed, and this is me. This is the evidence. Can I please talk to somebody?
We're basically hoping
So-
for Trump now at this point, right? Because the it sounds like everyone got the MO that like we're just gonna act like this isn't happening.
Yeah, it's like they cycle it into the big old trash can. It's like, oh shit, we can't talk about this one now. There's a way around it. We got to find out what we have to. We have to find out who gave the order to. Obviously, okay. Look, we see a lot of sites that got pulled down. Who gave the order to pull that stuff down? What agency was it? Where did it come from? Department of Defense? Department of Energy? Is it a that passed? We need to know that kind of stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
I can tell you that the ward member did tell me that, because initially when we were trying to figure out how do I show the pictures and videos to them, I said, dude, just hop on Twitter and you can see it all. And their official response to that was, and they are Democrats and Tucson is Democratic, was, we cannot use X as a source. You have to put it somewhere else where we can look at it there. We can't look at it. We can't interact with it. And that was kind of weird.
All right, I see what you're saying about that. Do it then. Yeah, put on a separate site. Yeah, they got a lot of legal stuff that's going on with X, and that could cause some issues. I get it. Yeah, put it on a separate site or send them an email.
And I think with that, actually, I'm probably gonna close it up. Logan, start an after space, bro. Logan will probably do it. And I think Mel has a space going too.
And
Yeah,
everybody
it's a great
please share
space.
Ivan Handel's helicopter, Operation Dromo thing. I want to see red. I'm serious. When a lawyer is saying, let's get a helicopter, and he's not saying